Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined the Doctor as he travels the Vortex, and then episode number 158. And to get into the mood of the episode, we have all shrunk ourselves down to about an inch tall. I'm Keith.
I'm Ken.
These guys somehow, for some reason, got their vocal cord shrunk too. Mine's fine.
It's because we're far away. That's.
Oh, okay. I'm all climbed up on my mic.
I can't reach the microphone.
If we were close to each other, we'd hear each other in normal voice.
Oh, okay.
No? Yeah.
No, I don't think that's how that works.
All right.
I took the epic point of view of that. How are you guys?
You're the only one that took the epic point of view.
But they did too.
No, they didn't.
Well, to some extent.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, because the voices were slower and louder.
But he
Right, but he was pointing out
wrong
that they would
frequency.
hear a really high-pitched.
That's kind of the principle of... That was part of the principle of epic. You guys have a good week?
I did.
Yeah.
You have a
I
good
can't
week?
think of anything other than I worked last night. But that was because I volunteered, so...
Aw, why'd you volunteer?
They needed somebody to bridge the show, and I had a, massive Friday night that I had to deal with our live shots from Indianapolis, and so I kind of felt sorry for them and thought, you know what, they're going to need some help. So I went in and bridged the show so we could do our live shots for Saturday night, because they don't have anybody on the bridge.
Oh, that was nice.
The guy who used to do it is actually working in Wichita now, so I went in and showed the guy that will replace him bridging on a night that I should not have been showing him what to do because it was so chaotic.
And a night where he didn't learn anything.
Yeah, well, luckily the ABC show was pretty normal, and then we didn't end up overlapping like I thought we would. But
that makes it easier.
You have to readjust everything to do that second show. So beyond, when we got to the sports block, I said, okay, that's the basics. So I'm just going to do my thing now. And so he got an idea of how to, to time the show and move stuff around if needed and whatnot. So drop stuff. So, that was pretty much it.
The kids have a good New Year?
The kids had a really good New Year's. Happy New Year, by the way, to everybody.
Yeah.
Happy
we
New
talked
Year.
to anybody
Our
since
first
then.
broadcast in the wonderful world of 2014.
Wonderful.
It's hard to believe it's 2014.
Yet to be seen, but I guess it's been wonderful so far.
Not by going outside, it's not.
Stayed
Welcome
up.
to the world of tomorrow.
I had to work, and so, but luckily I get off at 10:45, and so I got home at 11, and we pretty much just watched the ball drop, watched all the festivities in Times Square, and we ate our pie, because we eat pie every year. That's our tradition. I don't know where it started. Caitlin just one time said we're supposed to eat pie on New Year's, and when she was like 3, and ever since she's been 3, we eat pie on New Year's Eve. So
I'm okay with that
so
tradition.
yeah,
Any reason to eat pie?
well, that's we didn't say it was wrong. So
Did you bring any pie tonight?
I did not bring any pie tonight. We always go buy individual slices because we all like different pies. So it's not like we had one big pie.
What was your pie?
Well, actually, Mason had made these apple turnovers at school. And basically all it is a croissant. And you put apple pie filling in it. You roll it over, you bake it, and then when it's done, you put cinnamon sugar on top of it. It's just that simple. And they're really good. And so I had them make me one of those when they made Mason's because that's what he wanted for his pie. So it wasn't technically pie, but...
And
it was really good. It was really good. So had that. And we had noisemakers and champagne poppers, and Holly and I opened a bottle of wine that we had reserved for New Year's Eve, and it was fun. We stayed up, said New Year's, went out, Happy New Year, went out and popped our poppers out back in the really cold, snowy weather, and that was pretty much our New Year's. We didn't do much else. Saturday morning, I missed Friday Night Who because Saturday morning the kids had their first basketball games of the year, so Caitlin won hers, and I can say that now because she plays Upwards, which is a church league, and up until the 5th, 6th grade level, they don't keep score. It's that one of those get the fundamentals down, learn about it. They do keep score, but they don't make a big deal about it. But now they're playing high school rules, and they're so that these girls actually are ready to transition into junior high and high school.
That makes sense.
And so they won. She made the first basket of the game.
Hey.
And they beat the other team, so that was a lot of fun. And then we went over, and Mason, this is his first year to play basketball altogether, and he's in the kindergarten league. which is just hilarious to watch. In fact, if you saw the post that I put on Facebook, it's just a joy. They actually played better than I expected them to, but the nice thing is he doesn't have practices during the week. She has practice during the week, but he doesn't. What they do is they go and they practice for 30 minutes before their game, and then they have a game that lasts 30 minutes so that everything's fresh in their minds. They can apply everything that they learned in that 30 minutes, and that really works well. And then the coaches are actually out there on the floor with them, and they walk around and tell them, you kind of give them direction and guidance. And so it works really well. It gets them prepared for those upper levels where you don't have so much interaction with the coach. And so that went well. And
I'm sorry, but the entire time you're telling the story, I imagine the How I Met Your Mother episode.
No.
Where Lily and Marshall teach kindergarten.
No, the different versions of coaching. We keep telling him he won because everybody wins on the kindergarten team. So
You don't keep
he didn't make
everyone
any
wins.
baskets, but he made a valiant attempt. So
At least he tried.
he's really good on defense. He goes out there and he's got his hands in the air like he's supposed to, blocking and whatnot. That's another thing that this first year.
I'll take a defensive player on my team any day of the week before I take somebody who goes out and scores baskets.
It's really well done because what they do is they wear armbands on their wrists, or wristbands, I guess, on their wrists that are a certain color, and then they go out and they look for that player that has on the other team that has the same color, and that's how they match them up for man-to-man. And for every year up until 5th grade, they always play man-to-man defense. This year, that was another thing with Caitlin, is they were teaching them zone defense. So this was the first year we got to see the girls actually play in a zone defense, and it actually works for them better. And so, there's times that you need man-to-man, there's times that you need zone, but the zone really worked really well for them, and I think they kind of are adjusting their play style to that. So that kind of was cool. Anyway, I got me off subject. Yesterday, and then of course I watched the Chiefs game for the first half of it anyway, and then we did family movie night. And what we've been doing, that was one of our New Year's resolutions, is that we bring that back, but not specifically have to be Disney movies since we're not preparing for a trip. But we really enjoyed doing that, so we thought we'd throw some other ones into the mix that we hadn't seen in years, or ones that we haven't seen in a long time. And so what we're doing is each week we pick a movie that we want to see, and we throw in a hat and we draw, and the one that we draw is the one we watch. Well, this week Caitlin put Muppet Treasure Island in, and we drew that. So we watched Muppet Treasure Island, which was great because I hadn't seen it in a long time. I hadn't seen it in a long time. Holly hadn't seen it in a long time. Caitlin had seen it more recent, but Mason had never seen it. We didn't realize that. So he sat and watched the whole thing.
It's been so long since I've seen that one. I've been tempted to pick up the Blu-ray, but I don't like that it's a Blu-ray combo pack.
See, and I've got it on. It's with like the
Muppet Caper.
Muppet Caper made me mad.
Yeah,
I don't have that on Blu-ray either, but those two go together.
It's Pirates and Pigs is the Pirates and Pigs edition. Is what
is that
called.
what it's called?
I thought that was kind of clever.
That is kind of clever now that I think about it.
But they wouldn't go next to each other on the shelf.
Right, that's my problem, is if they're going to put something together, it needs to go with something that it would be next to in line. So
it would make sense to have Muppet Christmas Carol and Muppet Treasure Island on it.
Absolutely.
Sean does not agree.
I totally agree with that. And then what else did we do this weekend? We went over to my mom and dad's house today, and we celebrated
beyond that.
Apparently, that's what it is.
It bothered me when I picked up Muppets from Space that was paired with
Muppets Take
Manhattan, or something.
No,
that one actually kind of made sense.
No,
they were the
only reason it makes sense is because those are the two Columbia TriStar ones.
Yeah, but okay,
they're not together chronologically though, because they did Muppets Take Manhattan, and then
Muppets in Space was like the last one, wasn't it?
No, they did Muppet Christmas Carol, and I think they even did Muppet Treasure Island, and then Muppets in Space.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Until because Columbia,
Muppets in Space was like the last theater release.
That's just
it was the last theater release.
That still makes sense because they're the last two movies together chronologically that they were the Muppets.
Well,
not where
they
were
weren't
Muppets playing other characters.
Okay.
So I'm okay
that's
with
true.
it.
I wouldn't have a problem with that. So
Wibbly wobbly, muppity wuppity.
Yeah, exactly. But the only reason Muppets from Space got made was because Columbia TriStar still had part of their contract left to make another. They had to make another Muppet movie, and so that's why they did Muppets from Space.
I liked Muppets from Space.
It was enjoyable. It wasn't the best movie, but it wasn't the best. But and then today we went over to my mom and dad's and celebrated my nephew's 13th birthday. My gosh. Teenager now.
Your nephew can't possibly be 13.
He's 13 years old. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was a little prepared because my other nephew, Holly's sister's son, just turned 13 in October. So we've got two teenagers in our family now. So
Let the fun times begin.
yeah, no kidding. Shows me what I got to look forward to. with more drama. That was pretty much it.
We're doing family movie night tonight. I hate you.
I don't think I watched any other.
I got the Muppets. I don't care.
I don't think I watched anything else this week. So some Doctor Who with Caitlin, but just whatever random episode she picks. Oh, I know what the other thing I did. I felt that Caitlin especially didn't get everything she wanted for Christmas, and so on Christmas Day, no, it was the day after Christmas. We were all it wasn't. I think it was last weekend. We were all sitting at home, and Caitlin's been obsessed with Minecraft videos on YouTube. And there's this one guy specifically, which, by the way, if you've got a kid that likes Minecraft, wants to watch Minecraft videos, there's a guy named Stampy Longnose who plays on both PC and 360.
And she's been obsessed with these since you got the game?
No, because she plays on her iPod all the time. She's been playing for the better part of a year on her iPod.
Gotcha.
But she's kept bugging me to get it on 360. So she watches these all the time, and we've been getting hooked on them because they're funny. The guy's great. He's really, really, he does them really well. He's very PG. So like I said, if anybody's looking for, there's no language in him. He talks about, he's more plays in creative mode and creates like these lands and things that he does. And he's got this love garden where he makes names of people that listen to his videos and send him, it's kind of a video podcast for Minecraft. Nice. Just really, Craft was really what it boils down to. We were watching these, and I keep watching. Well, because she didn't get, I don't think she got everything she wanted, I said, you know what, I'm going to do something special. So I downloaded it, surprised her with it, and they got all excited. Mason, who's been wanting to play for a long time, got all super excited. So they sat down and started playing this thing, and I've been watching them play it, and I don't get it. Finally today, picked up a controller, started playing. I said, you know what I'm going to do, though? We're not going creative. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to play this. I'm going to play the tutorial. I'm going to learn how to play the actual game and do this the right way. And so I sit down and started playing, and I got started, and I was playing through the tutorial, and Caitlin comes in, sits down, and goes, can I play? I said, yeah, I'm playing the tutorial, and we're going to play this like a real game. That's fine. Okay, so sit down. So she starts playing, and I finish the tutorial. And she still has to finish the tutorial to unlock another area that she can go into. So she's playing. Mason comes in and says, can I play? And I said, oh, buddy. I said, I don't think you can play more than 2 players. I said, well, get the other controller and see. And sure enough, you can play up to 4. Mm-hmm. I had no idea. I knew you could play 2 because I saw you and Mel playing one time when I came over. Or you and, not Cody, Billy were playing one time. So we popped in, and all 3 were playing. Of course, so Mason had to finish the tutorial as well because we all started in tutorial mode. And so, we pretty much played for like 3.5 hours this afternoon. All had gone to the grocery store and come back, and we were like, oh, we probably got to quit because we got to go to the birthday party here soon. But thoroughly enjoying it. I still can't get past the minimalistic nature of it, but it's a lot of fun. So, and watching Caitlin play it looks so, and watching Stampy Longnose play it looked so complicated, and I thought I'd never be able to figure this thing out. Once you sit down and start playing, it really just you really.
I would think it's a gradual process.
You really catch on quick. So, anyway, we're having a lot of fun. We've built
the nature of it is very much like the look of it. It's very minimalist. Yeah. You just kind of go and you do stuff, and I think what hooks people is. I don't want to say that there's no challenge to it. I mean, because I've certainly died.
There's a challenge because we have to get home before nightfall.
Yeah, I've certainly died to my share of creepers.
We've only died twice, but we've actually. I think
nothing is more frustrating than when you get blowed up and you lost all your stuff and you have to respawn back at the bed, and it's like I had the good pickaxe, man.
We run and get it. We wait until the next day and go find it, and sometimes the stuff's
there. Sometimes it's not.
Luckily, we've been killed near each other. And so, Caitlin will run over and grab all my stuff, and then she'll run home with it, and she'll put it all in the chests, because we've got chests all over our house that we're storing stuff in. And then I'll come back, and in fact, we've decided to set it up where we each have a chest, and if you lose your stuff, the one person just takes it and puts it in their chest, so you just can go in there and pick out the stuff that you needed out of there, out of that you had. But
that's a good way to do it.
But you lose your experience too.
It's fun. Yeah, you do.
But I think what works about it is that kind of minimalistic. It keeps you just mentally active enough that you're enjoying it, but at the same time, I think it's very calming.
Yeah,
I think this is weird. I think it's a very relaxing game, and it's nice to be able to come home from work or something
next to you
and unwind.
Oh my gosh!
And just mindlessly do Minecraft stuff until a creeper shows up and blows up or something.
See, I think that's why I'm not that intrigued by it, because I tend to get bored very quickly with mindless games.
It's
What level are you
just
on, Doctor
above.
Who?
It's just above
Do
the.
What level are you on in Doctor
See, that's
Who?
why I'm not as far as you guys.
It's just above mindless though. You're doing enough things that it keeps you entertained, and there's enough variety. So I think what he's saying is it doesn't take a lot of brain power to indulge yourself in it, but you're doing enough stuff, and there's enough variety that it keeps your attention. So
There's a demo for
this
PlayStation. Now that we have it too, I might download it.
Yeah,
We'll see.
welcome to the 21st century, PlayStation Network. You got Minecraft now.
Woo! Welcome to the 21st century of a game that probably should have come out in the 1990s, but okay.
I was proud of my network that we did not have Minecraft. We weren't going to sell out to the people, and then
It's
we did.
huge. We're all sheep.
Bah.
And there are sheep in the game, too, so, which we have all rounded up in a
Can you
nice little
steer them
pen.
and shake them, and they fall over?
No, you can't do
Did you,
that. That's goats.
you found a
Sheep
saddle
do it
yet?
too.
Sheep will do that? I don't
Sheep
think so.
fall over for something.
Have I what?
Have you found a saddle yet?
I have not found a saddle. Can
There's
you
a-
ride the sheep?
You can't ride the sheep, but you can
Oh.
ride pigs.
Oh, fun.
And there's an
It's
achievement.
like a Lego game.
There's an achievement for saddling a pig and riding it off a cliff to its death.
Oh, wow.
When the pig hits the ground, it turns into pork chops. I kid you not. It just goes and breaks apart.
Well, that
There's-
makes sense
There's
because
food.
there's raw meat if you kill a cow, so it makes sense that there would be pork chops with
See,
it.
yeah, Lego games are
that.
just barely on the brink of. I get bored with them.
Oh, well, this
After
is
too
just, I
much
think,
time.
just a little notch lower than the
See,
Lego
yeah, that's
games.
what I would. That's what I'm worried about.
The thing is, though, the Lego games, because they're so
It's-
they're
I-
goal oriented.
I can go through the levels, but then wandering around and
That's
trying
just
to
it.
find
It's
other
the
stuff. It's when I
wandering,
get
and they're
bored.
goal oriented, and you're trying to find all this stuff. The thing with Minecraft is you literally will go over and say, I needed wood. So I went over and I was finding wood so that I could craft stuff on my craft table because there was things that I needed. So I'm over doing, mining my wood, cutting down trees, get my wood. And then I saw a cave, and I went, I wonder what's in here. And I went into this cave, and then I found a chest, and then like, an hour and a half later, after I was
You
supposed
got
to
the
have
wood you
made
needed?
wood, no, I didn't, because I got so distracted and was finding stuff and doing other things and exploring caves that then I went back and I went to the house and I went, what was I doing? And then I realized, I didn't go out and get enough wood for for what I was supposed to be doing here. So then I went out and got my wood. But anyway, the cool thing is for the tutorial, and it's probably like this for anybody that starts a new game, is you've got this little cordoned off area that's naturally barricaded off from anything. And so there's a little pond in there. And so, we've set up a farm. We've built our house. We've got a little pond. We've got crops next to the pond so that we can irrigate from it. We've got all this, livestock that was wandering around. We've pinned them up. We've got this whole... Before you even go up
got
the
a
stairs...
commune.
Yeah, pretty much. And before you even go up these stairs into this castle and start exploring the land, which is the amazing thing about it, we finally decided we got tired of walking the stairs and going around our little commune, that we decided we just chopped a hole in the side of this gully so we could walk out the back because that's where all
Made
the
a
wood
hole?
is. Yeah, we just made a hole through, made a trench basically is what we did, so we could get to the wood that was on the other side that we were continually walking all the way around to get. And Caitlin said, we need a door. And so we'll make a door. Now we've got a path. But now things will get in here. Well, things are going to spawn in here anyway.
Well,
at night,
now
so.
you can put a door on the path.
Well, that's true. I had none of that. I should build a door and put some doors
Just
there.
build a door there. Boom.
Anyway, it's a lot of fun, and I've spent
Or
way
fill it back
much
up with
more
dirt
time.
when you come home at night. And break this back in.
What'd you guys do this week?
Sean, what'd you do?
Well, I worked a lot, and kind of the standard thing.
But you didn't go to school.
I did not go to school, and I finished the internship.
Yay!
So all the videos are done, except for one, which was on the lost hard drive. But I told her that, all the videos that I can do are done, and if data recovery happens to come back and say we saved your data, I'll throw that one in and say, yeah, here's another video for you. But my official status is done, and I finished it before schedule. Despite everything, because we initially had said
Before deadline.
Before
Nice.
deadline, so
All right.
under
That's always
budget
a good feeling.
and on time.
That's always a good feeling.
It was a good feeling to have that done, and we had a nice little. She invited us out for dinner, and that kind of landed at some things that they want to do for 2014, and she kind of was fishing, I think, for people who wanted to do some additional stuff for that. And she asked us, she says, well, we want to do a calendar. So we want to take photos at all these events and then put all those photos into a calendar at the end of the year. What kind of photos would we need to take? And I looked at Jerry and I looked back at Chris and I said, good ones. A video. We're not really but I know a photographer. Let me give you that. So I love Chris dearly. But yeah, it was just kind of like, I'm done, lady. I'm sorry. I can't do this again. And then, strangely, we've been slammed at work. I've put in a lot of extra hours at work this week just because I think my own personal opinion is that everybody overextended themselves over Christmas and realized now that the bill is due that they've got to come up with a way so they're selling everything they own.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just been nuts.
Well, not to mention people get stuff that they replace stuff with too. At Christmas.
That could be
so
too.
a lot of people bring in their old stuff. Even if they got a Xbox One, they'll bring in their Xbox 360 games because they're kind of worthless now. And
we had one guy brought in. He had an Xbox 360, an Xbox, and a PlayStation 3. Sold all of them.
Well, that guy's getting married. That's
sold all of them and bought an Xbox One. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just been really busy at work. But then still managed to get in, and we watched. We went and saw The Hobbit. I don't know if we talked about that last week or not, but I think we did.
Yeah.
And then we watched Red 2.
What did you think?
Thoroughly enjoyable. I really liked
it was
that one.
totally undersold. I can't believe it did so poorly.
Yeah.
It was quite enjoyable.
I liked it as much as the first one, I think. And I really like the fact that I can't pronounce his name, but Storm Shadow.
Storm Shadow?
The guy that plays Storm Shadow in G.I. Joe.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have to be more specific.
The Asian guy.
The
that
Korean
plays,
hitman.
Remember, I haven't watched G.I. Joe. Hold on.
Oh, you haven't? Well, there you
Either
go.
one
I don't
of
even
Either
know
one of them.
anything
Well,
else. The only thing I know him in is G.I.
Yeah,
Joe.
it's like I like him a lot. I kind of want him to be in more stuff that I can go watch now. I'm going to have to look him up. But
he was kind of the Keith Urban part of, not Keith, Kevin Urban. No, Keith. No, Kevin. Keith Urban.
Is the singer.
Okay, Kevin Urban. No.
No.
Carl Urban.
Carl, there we go. I know it started with a K.
Keith Urban.
He's the Carl Urban character
Byung
in this one.
Lee?
So. Sure.
And
Byung
Neil McDonald's in it, which is always a...
Him?
Yeah, him.
That's him.
I always like Neil McDonald whenever he shows up in things. And then we also watched...
That's a strange part. That just was a weird,
Yeah, well, it was almost like they couldn't decide...
quasi-bad guy.
Yeah, because he starts off as a quasi-bad guy, and then he kind of... When he first shows up, he's pretty nuts. Because he's very much enjoying the idea of torture and all this kind of stuff. But then they kind of backed away from that, and then he's drinking wine in the guy's house, and he's crazy again. And then they kind of backed away from it again. It's like, wow, you're kind of psycho.
Yeah, that was just...
But the whole thing was enjoyable. And then we watched, I don't know if I can say this one, Kick-Ass 2.
Sure.
Can I say that?
Yeah.
We watched that. The jury's still out on that one. I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed the first one, but felt bad for liking it, so there's a whole weird dichotomy with that. And I enjoyed this one, but kind of for the same things. It's like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be enjoying this as much as I am.
Right,
So
right.
it definitely appealed to the lower base primal part of my brain. Oh, violence. Okay, good. Let's go with that. And then we got all the Christmas stuff taken down.
But you guys did watch another Christmas movie.
We did? What did we
Because you
watch?
returned it to me.
Oh, yeah, we watched Love Actually.
What'd you think?
Where has this movie been for the last 10
You
years?
liked
of my
it.
life? I loved it. Oh, my
good.
God, we
Good,
enjoyed
good.
it
I was
so
I
much.
just knew that Sean's going to not like this movie.
No, I sat down and we started watching it, and just from frame one, we fell in love with this thing, and it got better and better and better and better as it went along. And of course, I kind of sort of had an inkling of who all was in it, because these are all names
Right,
now.
they are.
They may not
yeah,
have been
they
10 years
weren't
ago,
then.
and so every time somebody showed
a
up
good
on
chunk of them were.
Some of
though.
them were.
Some of them were on their way out, like Hugh Grant. And,
Yeah. But every time
Like
somebody
Andrew
showed
Lincoln
up,
was nobody.
Yeah.
Martin Freeman wasn't
was
Yeah,
barely
anybody at that
anybody. I
point.
mean, he had done
The Office at that
The
point.
Office, and I think Hitchhiker's Guide came out around that time, too. It's almost
Maybe.
10 years old.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess I was at Hollywood when that came out. Oof. But with every new person that came on screen, I was like, oh my God, it's so-and-so. And of course, she's referring to him as, hey, look, there's Bilbo. Hey, look, there's, Bill Nye she knows because she loves Bill Nye.
Right,
but he
right.
showed up right there at the beginning. And I just, we could not have enjoyed this movie more. We started watching some of the deleted scenes. And, I mean, the guy had like 40-some-odd minutes of deleted scenes in there.
Yeah.
And with just the first one, where Liam Neeson goes to look up Claudia Schiffer, and he gets this all kinds of spam porn on his computer, and he goes into the room because the dad comes in and he's like,
father-in-law comes in.
So he goes in and offers the kid $50 if he'll shut up and just take the blame for whatever he's got thrown at him right now. And the kid looks at him and goes, I'd rather make 100. All right.
I loved that scene, but it was far too long.
Well, that's
and
just
I'm glad that they cut it.
We laughed through that, and then I looked at Mel and I turned it off. She goes, you want to watch anymore? It's like, no, I'm good. As enjoyable as the deleted stuff is, I don't want to ruin the rest of the movie with what might have been in it.
Yeah.
That scene in and of itself was phenomenal. But it just, I think they struck really just the right balance. The only person I honestly felt was slighted was Colin, the guy who goes to America.
Colin Firth? Oh, yeah. No, because
he was kind of the most annoying character out of all of them anyway.
But also, that's the one that you... I don't know about you, but as I'm watching this, that's the storyline that I'm going, oh my gosh, this is going to end so poorly for him. Yeah. And it's the one that just, it's really the furthest out there storyline. And it completely goes the way that you want it to go. And it's like, you just knew that was going to be the tragic story.
I'm British. I'm going to go to America and find beautiful women to fawn all over me.
Yeah, right.
And I'm just going to walk into a bar and it's going to happen.
Yeah, right.
And then where does he go? Wisconsin. No offense, Holly. But we're going to Wisconsin to pick up chicks in a bar. Dude, it's cold in Wisconsin. You were totally... And then he shows up and he walks in and it all works out.
He picks up a girl. And then he picks up another one. And he picks up another one. And I was like, wow, okay, that's it.
So... Yeah, no, we
my favorite
really,
storyline
really
is Colin Firth's storyline. I still absolutely love that storyline. That is the best. The second best is Liam Neeson and the kid. But
I liked all of them. I really, there were so many.
Lots of Doctor Who connections.
Lots of Doctor Who connections now. In that one,
even more so.
It's two doctors and several people that have been in the show. But so yeah, it is an amazing movie, and I can't believe that we waited that long to watch it. So it was really, 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 really good. So we finished Christmas on a high note. I'm putting all the movies back on the shelf because I'm done now. I don't need to watch anything else this year. But yeah, so we kind of did a lot of stuff. I got my guitar. I'm all excited about that, and I'm
tuned and ready to play.
Tuned and ready to play. Although I actually have two guitars. Because I got the one on Amazon, and they shipped it, and it's pretty. Oh, it's so pretty. If I was a girl, I would totally just keep this guitar because it's pretty.
It pink?
No, it's blue. Oh. But it's just kind of it's a blue electric guitar, but it's that cool blue. It's TARDIS blue. You really got it cool. And then Mike at work was like, "Are you still looking for a guitar?" And I was like, "Well, I just bought one." He goes, "Oh, I was going to sell you mine." I was like, "Oh, well, what do you got?" And he says, "Well, I've got an Epiphone." He says, I was going to sell it for you at $50. I was like, ooh, that's cheaper than the one that I bought online. So I borrowed his, and his sounds so much better than the one that I bought.
Oh, sure.
I mean, because it's just a cheap little starter,
right.
starter guitar. And his has got this amazing tonal quality, and the amp's much better, and all kinds of stuff.
Is he going to do $50 for the amp and the guitar?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's like...
That's a deal.
Yeah,
so you're sending
I think I'm going to send the other one back. As pretty as it is.
How much is it going to cost you to send it back? Did you have to pay shipping on it?
$20, I think, maybe.
Oh,
but
okay, well, that's not too bad.
It's either that or I keep both of them.
Because if you were to go sell the other one at a pawn shop, you probably wouldn't get much.
25, maybe 30 for both.
Yeah.
At a pawn shop.
Yeah.
I don't know. $30 for the set.
For when Mason wants to learn how to play
right, exactly.
Is anybody looking for a guitar? Because I've got this great starter. I mean, like I said, it's just... If I didn't know anything about guitars, I'd be pleased as punch with this thing because it's a really, really...
And had you not gotten the other one...
Yeah, it's just a really, really nice starter guitar. But I know a little bit about guitars, which makes me just enough to be dangerous. And his is, even though it's got some miles on it, and he's got skateboard stickers all over the front of it, but it doesn't matter because it sounds so much better than the other one does. So I'm hoping that with my newfound prowess, once I get the calluses really built up on my fingers, that I will come in and serenade all of you with the Doctor Who theme. But I haven't quite got there yet. I can play bump, 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 but not quite in the right tempo, so... That was my week. What'd you do, Keith?
Didn't do a whole lot. Worked a couple of day shifts during the week, so that kind of throws things off. Went and saw The Hobbit, though, on Saturday.
What did you think?
Phenomenal. Smaug was amazing.
Yes.
He had the best part of the whole movie.
Yes.
And we went to the high frame rate 3D. I liked it. I think the high frame rate is the way they need to film 3D. 3D has always felt fake to me, like CG'd. It felt natural with this.
Wow.
And my only complaint with the high frame rate is because of it, I think some of the action was kind of blurred. So, like, it's very, oh, well, that was over. It was very
the river scene.
Fast-paced, and if you blink during the action scene, you're going to miss something.
Like the river scene with the barrel that's going
and
back.
There's just so much of it's, whoa. It's hard to keep, for me, it's hard to keep track, especially because I think it's closer to real speed. They didn't slow it down at all, so whatever would be actual speed in a normal film, this is a little bit faster than that. So, but other than that, phenomenal.
Could you imagine Darth Maul in high frame rate?
Ooh.
Let's redeem Phantom Menace here.
A lot of people had said they felt like they shoehorned a lot of Lord of the Rings setup in this. I didn't think so. No more. I thought there was more in the first one.
Certainly more in the first one, yeah.
I thought it was very minimal in this, really. It didn't feel as heavy-handed, at least. Aside from what Gandalf's going off to do. That's the only thing, really.
Well, and that's the part that I can't remember from the book. Is all the
Well, I remember he disappears.
I remember he disappears.
The story of what he went to do.
He just disappears at one point. And maybe you remember. Or did I talk about this last week, too?
No, and I can't. I until you said that, I had forgotten that he left for a while.
Yeah, he left. Well, in the movie, he leaves to go check on
the necromancer.
The necromancer.
Right.
And they make a very, in my mind, clear, valid
that all kind of
reason.
Culminates later in the book, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe I kind of do remember that.
Well,
but I don't remember them making that connection of who the necromancer is in the book.
That's just
course,
it.
It could have. I read the book, never read Lord of the Rings, and it was before the movies came out, so they could have made that connection. I could have been like, okay.
See,
I don't know who this bloke is.
Yeah, I read all the books, but I don't remember that connection being there. But going back and seeing them now, it's like, yeah, that totally makes a lot more sense. That's how that would have worked out. So I really kind of need to go back and reread it. I don't want to.
I'm kind of tempted to. I'm also tempted to, before we see the third one, go back and rewatch the first two, watch the third one, and then go on and rewatch the Lord of the Rings trilogy. That'd be the perfect place to do it. I've never seen the extended editions. I don't know if I want to commit that kind of time. Good. Maybe over several nights.
Yeah, you couldn't do it in it'd take a fortnight.
Other than that, I've been watching a little bit of West Wing, rewatch Star Trek Into Darkness.
Any better the second?
I enjoyed it. Of course, I enjoyed it the first time. I think where I come down on it now is it's a good sequel for a rebooted universe.
See, that's where I don't like it.
It works as a continuation from going off into the left field as opposed to the regular universe being in the right.
Yeah, but
there are issues with it, but
the whole point of rebooting the universe, your rebooted universe, is that you don't have to do everything that happened over here. And the very first thing they do is something that happened over here.
Yeah.
You could have done.
There's still issues.
You
with
had it wide open. You could have done anything.
It's still an enjoyable ride to watch.
It's a great action flick.
When shoveled my mom's driveway.
Benedict Cumberbatch is far better in The Hobbit than he was in it.
You know, there were moments that I couldn't tell it was Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh,
quite a few moments.
As soon as he opened his mouth.
I mean, I could hear him, and then I'd be...
He's got such a great voice for Smaug.
Have a great voice.
I'm excited to see it. I just don't know when I will.
That's now my favorite dragon design.
Oh, yeah.
I think previously it was Dragonheart. Spyro.
It's good design.
Pretty close.
Yeah, good design.
Spyro. Hey, Spyro's a classic design.
Okay.
Toothless. You know.
Toothless was a good one.
Speaking of
it's a unique design.
shoveling driveway, for the listeners who don't know, we got hit with a couple snowstorms here, which weren't as near as bad as they're getting up in the New England states.
We were at dinner and then came out and it started snowing a little bit, and then we went to the movie and we're like, oh, hopefully it'll stop.
Oh, wow, we got a lot more yesterday than we expected, I think.
I wasn't expecting
overnight.
any, so...
Well, they were early in the morning, they were calling for it, saying, I think it's going to hit us, and then by noon they were going, I think we're going to get this 4 inches. So anyway, we're also dealing with snow here, but now we're dealing with this Arctic blast that's coming down for us. And we're talking dangerous wind chills tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, they're talking 50 below as far as wind chills, which has prompted a lot of our schools to close, including 501.
Yeah.
So my kids are happy to have one extra
Really?
day
501's
off.
closed?
One extra day
Because of
off
the
now
cold of all
tomorrow
that.
for...
I don't have to take Billy to school in the morning.
You don't have to take Billy to school in the morning. 501 is closed tomorrow.
I'm glad I
So-
told you.
Yeah, no lie.
Anger. The concern there
I
is
still have to go to work in the morning, but
the concern there is that kids will be waiting at bus stops in
Yeah.
50 degree below wind chill, and possibly some of them walking to school, and the school doesn't
Which
want to be
really, it was
responsible
cold
for that,
today,
so.
but I don't think it was too
It's
bad
bad
in the
now.
afternoon.
Oh my
It's
gosh,
bad now.
Well,
but,
that's
now.
the worst of it was starting tonight into
Yeah.
tomorrow, and I think it's supposed to let up by like noon tomorrow or something like that. Or we're out of our warning, so tomorrow afternoon.
our listeners
Anyway,
up
that's
north
what
are
we're doing.
going.
Yeah, come on.
well, they
Negative 50, we're getting negative 75
Yeah,
tomorrow.
poor
Because they're
Michelle
part of
up
this.
there
Yeah,
is
Michelle,
Call
in
us
the
when it
40s,
gets
negative
cold.
40.
Michelle Holly, if she's in Wisconsin,
Yeah.
she's getting a piece of this Arctic blast that's coming down too. So if you live in Utah or Colorado, guys, you ought to be happy.
Yeah. But
It's not quite going to get... It's probably cold there, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to undersell the cold, but you're not getting this little clip of Arctic air we're getting. Be lucky with that.
I took over.
Rachel should probably get a little bit of it. I think it's going to dip over to
quite a bit.
Indianapolis. So anyway, you all know it's
What
coming.
prompted me shoveling my mom's driveway is we went over there to drop off season 3 of Doctor Who, but she's up at that point now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
Season 3 or Series 3?
Series 3.
Okay.
I think I'm convinced her to go back and rewatch some of the old ones when she gets done.
Yeah. Ever
Not
have your
rewatch,
mom on
watch
our
some of
fan
them.
show?
Yeah, there you go.
It's. She texted me after we were in the movie when she finished Doomsday,
Oh.
and she texted me. Her text was "ack." When I talked to her today, she was like, "I really hate those Daleks." But it's interesting is she rather enjoyed Fear Her,
Really?
Oh, what?
and she rather enjoyed what's the other bad one? Idiot's Lantern. And
How did she feel about
Well,
Love
good,
and
they're made
Monsters?
for somebody.
she
It's not for you. It's for you.
okay, I had a pulling my hair out moment with her because the disc would during Love and Monsters it would just start over for some reason, and so she texted me and said, "Well, I just moved on. I'm on at the finale now." What? I thought she had skipped Love and Monsters and
went
Fear,
on to the
and
finale.
Fear Her,
I
but
see.
she did watch Fear Her
I
before
see.
that.
Okay.
So
She hasn't seen all of Love and Monsters.
she did go back and rewatch it later.
Oh, okay.
And I warned her, you're really lucky. That's like the one instance where that wouldn't have hurt you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the only time you can do that.
Right. With So Dr. Light. It's a good story.
Yeah. And I explained that situation to her of why it was Dr. Light and then how we get that later too.
Good.
She thought the Scribble Monster, because I told her, well, you're pretty much good to go for the rest of the series because Fear Her is considered one of the worst episodes.
Yeah.
Period.
Until the very end of Series 4.
No, it's still. I'm sorry, Fear Her is still worse than
I don't know.
Journey's End. Or
End of Time is
End
what
of
I'm
Time.
talking about.
Well, that's a special, so that's not Series 4.
Oh, that's what I meant.
It's still,
Depends on who you
below,
talk to. There's some people that are like, "Oh, this the most recent Christmas special is the worst episode ever made."
And she thought the Scribble Monster was inventive.
Inventive? Yeah. Okay.
I could see that.
Yeah, it's inventive.
I like the perspective.
So maybe we'll have to have her come on, and I'm interested to see what she thinks of Donna and then Martha.
Yeah. Because she'll get a taste of Donna next, then move into Martha, and then she'll get...
From the preview, she didn't sound impressed.
Oh, is that right? Oh, well.
But you're not. I don't think anybody was.
No, you're not. You're not ready for that at all.
Especially coming off the heels of Doomsday.
That's true.
So I'm turning her into quite a hoobie, and she did cry at Doomsday. She said. So.
Along with Ack.
Bring season 3.
What else did you do? Anything else?
I think Sherlock's back, but hopped a plane to watch that. And it's really good.
Caught the red eye.
Yes. Did you watch the
I
last
haven't
one yet?
finished saying I'm almost there. Got one more left. Hopefully, if we get out of here early tonight, I'll do it tonight, since I don't have to take kids there early in the morning. So, and then I'm sure as soon as I finish it, I will be trying to get a hold of the first one for the series.
Well,
3.
as I handed out my DVR copy to everyone else, and I mean, took others with me on the airplane.
Yeah, right.
I don't think that's about it. It's been
All right. Well, in that case, let's move on to news.
First up, Sean has some news about area conventions.
Well, as you all know, we're big fans of Planet ComiCon in Kansas City here because, well, they like us and invited us last year and again this year. And apparently we're in good company.
Don't let him fool you, because you have to be not. This isn't a Doctor Who guest. I'll warn everybody right now. This is not a Doctor Who guest, but it's pretty big.
It's more than pretty big.
The Shat is coming to Kansas City. Bill.
The glee in your voice.
I'm ecstatic. I mean, he's been to Kansas City before.
Is this your first time meeting him? Will this be your first time meeting him?
Meeting, yes. I've seen him before. You don't remember that story?
No, I do. I just thought of something.
What?
I'm going to have Shatner sign my
that
Album? Has been?
Oh.
That's what Sarah's bandying
what
about.
was that Doctor Who crossover? What the heck was that
Oh,
called?
the comic?
Yeah.
The
But the one where they go back with the fourth Doctor and do the
Assimilation.
Yeah, assimilation.
Oh, the assimilation
that's what it is.
problem.
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
I haven't signed that. It'll be Doctor Who related.
I'll probably look at that
Go
and go,
on.
okay.
Well, then we can get a bumper from
You
him.
can tell
too,
your
right?
story. Yeah.
No, I'm, whether you know him as Captain James T. Kirk or Denny Crane or T.J. Hooker or Rescue 911 guy, doesn't matter. The Shat is coming to Kansas City, and I know Christy's all like, that's old news because we had him in Salt Lake, and it's like, well, on you because
Now we get him.
now we get him. So yeah, I'm pretty jazzed about that.
Yeah, that's exciting.
It's going to make Sunday massive.
Sunday only.
Sunday
That's an
only.
important designation.
I told
So-
Holly, I said, well, I guess I would be spending more money than I thought this year. Super awesome. Then we're going to be waiting in line for a long time on that one. So,
I wonder if they'll actually get him to do any panels because he'll have
I imagine.
because there'll be such a long line.
I wonder if he'll be signing autographs, quite honestly.
You wonder if he will?
I wonder if he will. Because he didn't at the convention that he was at previously.
Well, he did it in Salt Lake.
So,
And it was massive.
Yeah, because
but was he there all 3 days, though, too?
no, I think he was only
I
there
think
one.
it was one day.
Was it one day?
It was Saturday there, I think, because she called it Shatterday.
Saturday.
Saturday. All right.
10 to 5.
Exciting stuff. Were there any other announcements that I think they kind of left
There's
that to
a
be?
whole slew of comic
There's
artists.
Yeah, but I think they
Big
left
comic
the
artists,
big
but-
media guests alone this time so that they could just.
There was one media guest, but not a big one.
Who was it?
That one
Zoe
chick.
Palmer from Lost Girl.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, okay. I did see that. All right. Well, that's exciting news for us or anybody in the area that listens to us.
Yeah.
So.
And Kansas City Crypticon's getting a little bigger, too. They added Herschel from The Walking Dead.
Oh, yeah. I did see that, too.
So they're getting some traction also.
They are.
Well, there is very little Who news.
Not on yet.
Still not on.
One bit, Gareth Roberts is confirmed for Series 8. He gave an interview for Quench, Cardiff Student Lifestyle magazine, and it reports that he says currently working on a new Peter Capaldi episodes for Doctor Who Series 8.
Hey, you like Gareth?
All except for that one you didn't like.
He liked all of them.
He just didn't like the wasp part of one of them.
That was
He
in the
didn't.
Clara episode.
No.
No, Unicorn and the
Unicorn and the
Wasp.
He said he likes Clara. You like Gareth?
He said Gareth.
I said Gareth. I like Clara too,
want
but
some
I
juice?
like Gareth.
I'm sorry, I have a little shat in my ear. I thought you said, yeah, I like Clara.
No.
And you were like, except for that
Gareth.
one. And I'm like,
Gareth. I like Gareth.
no, he likes all of them.
He's joining, confirmed so far, Moffat, Gatiss, and Neil Cross.
Wait, Moffat's going to write an episode?
Moffat's going to write an episode.
Do you guys think Moffat will write an episode this season?
I don't know.
I better write more than one.
Keith said this last week, and it totally went over my head, and I didn't even think about this, but it's actually really a good thing, even though I'm jonesing for Doctor Who already and wanting to see Peter Capaldi. But Keith pointed this out last week, and I totally missed it until I was listening back to edit.
I can't wait to hear what I said.
You were grateful for having the 8-month mourning period.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's good for all fans, especially the people that maybe were a little cold on Capaldi coming in anyway. Because it will give us time to get over Matt and have gotten to enjoy Matt Smith. And I think that will be better for Peter Capaldi coming on board in his first series proper in 8 months from now. Because the sadness will have kind of waned a bit and we'll be able to get over it a little more. And I think that'll give him a better running start. So I wanted to point out that we should have talked about that last week, and I'm glad you brought it up because I'd forgotten.
I did say that.
It hadn't even occurred to me. But that's actually a good thing. So when we're bemusing the fact that Who isn't coming back for another 8 months, let's just keep in mind that there is a silver lining there.
Yes. That's it for news.
All right, well, let's move on to feedback.
Our first bit of feedback comes from Holly. Holly writes, "Sweetie, I shrunk the TARDIS." Hey guys, great last podcast. Keith, congratulations on your promotion to Whovian. Thank you very much. Hope everyone had a great start to their new year. Planet of the Giants. I have to say this was a very enjoyable story with Team TARDIS, at first not knowing exactly what is going on. All that they know is that they have landed and they are safe. That is until they realize they've been shrunk and don't really know the reason why. The cliffhanger with the cat at the end of part 1 to the beginning of part 2 had me saying, "Nice kitty," to the TV.
Nice kitty.
Barbara being a trooper and not telling Ian and the others that she was infected with the insecticide and wanting to get to the bottom of what was going on ramped up the drama. The giant size...
And boy, did you miss out on some great side commentary. We'll get into that.
The giant-sized sets were fantastic. A big hand for the Doctor was pretty interesting. I was rather surprised that the Doctor had lost a hand and had made a deal for someone with a mechanical hand. I could hear Hartnell's voice in my mind saying the dialogue when I was reading. We find out that the first Doctor doesn't like Marmites. I do have to admit, he's got good taste. I do have to admit, I was a little surprised at how many pop culture references that the first Doctor made in this story. I haven't seen too many Hartnell episodes, but it just doesn't seem like the first Doctor would do that. The ending was rather interesting with the man who had seen some of the things that went on in the sky to give him the idea to write the novel Peter Pan. And for it being the first book in the series, it was a good start. I've read all 11 ebooks, and the good thing is that this time there's no underlying plot or theme that runs through the whole series. I'll wrap it up here. Looking forward to hearing everyone's thoughts. Holly from Wisconsin.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you, Holly.
Thanks, Holly. I'm glad to know that in advance, too, so I'm not trying to look for things that aren't there.
Just enjoy them for what they are.
Yep. Up next, Lisa.
Lisa writes, notes on the time of the Doctor, pardon me. Clara seems useless outside of saving the Doctor. She can't cook a turkey, can't say to her family, "I need more time." She uses the TARDIS when she's late or missed something on TV. Seriously. She can't work iPlayer, yet she has magically become, what did she say, an English teacher? And that other family with kids? Long gone, I guess. Oh well, didn't think much of them anyway.
Wait a minute. The kids, long gone. But she can work the iPlayer now, though, because... she could. They made that point, but they
made that joke.
They did make that joke, but the thing is, remember when she got downloaded and then he interrupted the process and Bells of St. John's, suddenly she could do about Twitter and all that stuff. That should have all came back. She didn't lose it again.
Maybe they redesigned it.
Although she did get downloaded again, I guess, and then the Doctor had to have her everybody.
Maybe it blanked it.
Maybe. Okay, anyway.
Oh, she doesn't remember her time inside the timeline either, apparently.
That's true, yeah.
Well, but she remembered Tennant. She remembered the suit.
And she remembered Grumpy. Because he said, you forgot Captain Grumpy, right? And then she did. So
her dad is now a dud? What? He's now involved with Miss You Have to Have a New Boyfriend ASAP, and I know young men you should choose from. Okay, really, seriously. 1971 is calling. It wants Jane Brady back. How, and more importantly, why would you accidentally make up a boyfriend in Britain in the 21st century? They wait to get married and start a family over there. Okay, enough of being totally taken out of the program by this step backwards in time, but not really a step back in time. For the most part, I liked it. Listening to it on my iPod has allowed me to focus on the dialogue and appreciate all that was done in the episode. I hear the sound is amazing in 5.1 surround. More for those who have. One of the many things I got from this episode is the confirmation in my mind that my notion of the Time Lords of Gallifrey are hoarding their regenerations. Unlike the Doctor, who has, after living a long and probably boring 500, 600, 700 years on Gallifrey, steals a time capsule and goes out into the universe burning through regenerations as he attempts to find victory in saving others. It's the fact is, when he's in a standoff, neither winning nor dying and regenerating, that time takes a physical toll on him that has let me to be rather self-satisfied with an idea I told myself a long time ago in answer to the question, why did the Doctor start traveling, and why were the Time Lords in Gallifrey always so boring? Well, because they wanted to live as long as possible in each regeneration and were not like the Doctor, who borrowed, a time capsule and ventured forth in the full knowledge that he would have longer lives if he'd just stayed home.
yeah, I think that's certainly true.
But more boring.
I like the symmetry of he and Hartnell being old and worn out when they regenerate. Matt Smith's Doctor, knowing he's the last regeneration of the Doctor, finds friends with which run away and have a second youth with, before he goes on to the death he has chosen versus the death the Daleks want to force upon him. I really like that. For whatever reason, it just feels so Matt Smith's Doctor. I'm going to choose the time and place of my demise and do what I want before I go. His portrayal of the Doctor has been absolutely scalding. So now here we are, old friends, at what appears to be the end of the story and a brand new book being opened. It always seems to surprise me how quickly time goes by. Good times with those so close at the time then become good times with those we are close to now. Funny how it works that way. As difficult it was for Matt and Jenna to film this last episode, I have only now started thinking about how difficult this probably was for Moffat to write. There were so many callbacks to beloved moments of the past. Handles was found in the Maldivorian, I cannot say it tonight. Maldivorian market. Dorian was just a head in a box when he was the Doctor's companion in the Wedding of River Song. Seeing the weeping angels in the forest and one of them grabbing Clara's leg, reminding us of Amy tripping in the forest with the angels in Forest of the Dead. Tasha Lem's voiceover at the start reminded me of the woman at the start of Asylum of the Daleks.
I hadn't thought of that one.
Clara's first appearance. Who was discussing a man everyone thought died, except for a few who believed he would return one day. And she was one of the Dalek humans with an eye stalk, just like Tasha Lem turned out to be. And the drawings of his adventures by the children in Christmas, because these are the stories he has told them. It was all very touching and for the most part subtle. It must not have been easy to write this last story for an actor who is so filled with life, the character, and stories of the Doctor that Moffat has worked on all his fan life. I don't get why at the beginning the TARDIS can't go down to the planet, and 300 years and one Clara clinging on later, it can now come and go. And then again near the end, no tech on the planet except for the Sonic, which the Doctor snuck in before the truce. That was under the wig or in the TARDIS shrug. It was under the wig or in the TARDIS shrug. I must have missed something there.
I think it was in the TARDIS,
I think what
wasn't
you're confused
it?
with
He
was
brought the key so they could bring the TARDIS down.
And it was in the TARDIS, and he had it with him. And then when he sent Clara away, is when the 300 years started. Well, he was able to sneak the TARDIS down there the first time, and so therefore it can come back because he snuck it down there before the truce. So it's the same principle as the Sonic, is he snuck it in there first, and then it just took 300 years to show up because Clara was on it.
Yeah. Okay,
I'll buy that.
I think that's how it works.
Clara's ever more short skirts don't flatter her body type. They make her look even more short and dumpy. You don't have to be Nina Garcia to see that. And not one likable pair of shoes on her? Frowny face. 11 had way better boots. Take note, Mr. Capaldi. If anyone else get this, if Clara follows the Doctor's clothes on the floor of the TARDIS at the very end, why is the reset Matt Smith dressed, and why is the newly regenerated Capaldi dressed? Shouldn't they not be naked? Just wondering.
I think he stripped out of his Christmas garb from the snowman into his purple tails.
He was no longer naked. Once he went to the planet, he obviously got clothes over that.
Because Clara has made a line
Money
of,
at a time.
it's nice to have clothes on again.
Yeah, exactly. And so
I think it's more just from the fact that there were clothes on the floor.
That he's
so
been
he
wearing.
changed when he...
So he just changed back into the last sort of outfit that he had on before he, came down to Christmas.
So brilliant if it was the original tweed. That would have been even more heartbreaking.
No, I like the purple.
I like the part. It just would have been more heartbreaking.
Happy New Year to everyone traveling the Vortex, especially our host, Lisa. P.S. The one thing I have decided I would like to see now that Mr. Capaldi is the Doctor is him with Craig Ferguson as his rival for River Song's attention. Craig and Peter are longtime friends, and Craig Ferguson seems to play so well off Alex Kingston whenever she's been on his show. I know River's gone and faded from the Doctor, but, everything being timey-wimey and all.
I haven't watched to see, because I think he made a comment about it, Craig Ferguson, when it was announced Peter Capaldi, because those guys were in a band together, in a pumpkin band together.
There's a post-interview.
Is there?
He's been on Craig Ferguson post the announcement.
I should go back and see
it's on YouTube somewhere.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, it was a really good interview.
Lisa apparently wasn't quite done. She wrote back with another PPS. Forgotten thoughts. She says, well, the Doctor didn't say goodbye to the TARDIS. I really thought Matt Smith would say goodbye, and he would say he always would remember that this was when they talked. I think it was a missed opportunity, I say. And we did not find out who gave Clara the phone number to the TARDIS. Moffat seemed to be wrapping up the Pond era of Matt Smith's run, and Clara is still a companion for the next series, but I doubt the one after that, so there's time to get to it. Anywho, looking forward to hearing you all on the machine.
I hadn't thought of that, but I think that's what this ultimately was clearing up the things that were set forth in Questions of the Pond era, but I had forgotten that we still were unclear on where Clara got the number when she called him in Bells of St. John.
In Bells of St. John.
Yeah. Maybe she gave it to herself.
Considering she split herself across the universe, that's entirely possible.
Although, particularly in this time, she wouldn't, because there was already Clara in this time. So, but anyway.
But there wouldn't have been a Clara to split herself across the universe if she hadn't gone back and given herself the phone number.
That's a good point. Good point.
Remember a trash can.
Well, thanks for the thoughts, Lisa. Next up,
Chrissy.
Okay, Chrissy writes, Honey, I Shrunk the TARDIS. I think there's a theme going on here. Dear Vortex Boys, let's see. Nope. Don't have anything to chime in from last week, so I'll hop into my reviews, other than, have you guys seen Frozen? If you haven't, you totally should. The movie's amazing. I might be just a little obsessed with it.
Haven't seen it, but I am it.
We're living it. Planet of Giants. I really like this story, even though a lot of what's in this story should make me not like it very much. I think when I very first watched it, it came as such a surprise that I just went along for the ride. That was back when I was first getting into Classic Who, and I tried to watch everything from the beginning. It worked great until I got bogged down in the recon hell. The first 8 or so stories had this pattern going of an alternating between historical and futuristic sci-fi stories that it's kind of a shock to suddenly get a story in, at the time, modern-day Earth. But Team TARDIS is shrunk, so it's a lot like being on an alien planet anyway. Let me just get this out of the way first. The sets are absolutely stunning. Giant matchboxes and earthworms and ants and notepads and sinks. Holy cow, the sink! The sink set was probably the best one of the whole thing. I mean, come on. Are we sure the show was made on a shoestring budget? Granted, the giant bugs, with the exception of one, don't move at all, which may have been why the script called for them all to be dead, but still, it's really amazing that they could pull that off back in 1964. Even more amazing that they decided to go ahead and try something like this at all. Talk about ambition. As for the story, well, it's a little thin. I'll give the critics that much. This is evident in the fact that the story was pared down from 4 episodes to 3, and the third episode being made up of the original episodes 3 and 4 edited together. And you can kind of tell that the action's a bit more choppy. And some of the characterization is a little off. I don't think that the writer quite knew what these characters were really like, and Ian's characterization in particular suffers for it, but not too much. Both he and Barbara still have some really good moments in this. They may just have been... that might just have been shipper goggles coming out to play. But to the critics of this story, I have to ask, in what other show can you have a cliffhanger of someone pulling the sink plug and feel like there's real peril involved? Seriously, this is a really imaginative and creative story, and I have the highest praise for the production team for putting it together. A big hand for the Doctor. I read this one last year, and quite frankly, I hated it. And my reasons why can be summed up by a bit of dialogue that had no business being in a Doctor Who story. If you've ever read... Did we ever come down on how we say this, guys? It's
Ian.
Wayne Coffer, isn't it?
I thought it was Ian.
Okay, we'll go with Ian. I thought we were way off on the first name. But anyway, Ian Coffer's Artemis Fowl series, the title character is always at odds with a secret organization from the land of fairies whose sole mission is to keep humans from finding out about fairies. Okay, Owen Coffer. They have their own culture and things, which is really great for a fantasy novel. However, one of those very small details finds its way into a big hand, and it left me wondering, why did you do that? At one point, the Doctor utters the fairy curse word, Darvit, which is translated from the fairy language, would earn this podcast an explicit rating. At least that's what's promised in the Artemis Fowl books. The one tiny instance is just a symptom of what's wrong with this story. It doesn't feel like a Doctor Who story, and it certainly doesn't feel like a First Doctor story. The Doctor is characterized all wrong, the tone is all wrong, even the adventure itself feels wrong. Now, this is a perfectly fine story by Owen Coffer, if you enjoy his writing, which generally speaking I do. But it's not a Doctor Who story, and that's my biggest problem with it. It doesn't meld in with the rest of Doctor Who canon. You could argue that Coffer was just used to writing his own stories and couldn't get the tone of the Doctor Who down. And that may be true. But Neil Gaiman, who's written tons and tons of his own stuff, wrote some faintly decent TV episodes that blended in nicely with the material around them. Yeah, I know that's TV, or that TV is different from books, but the disparity really shouldn't be this bad. And now I feel dumb if everyone comes on this podcast and praises A Big Hand for the Doctor to high heaven.
Never feel dumb for
that's
your
my story, and I'm sticking to it. Anyway, yes to Planet of the Giants, no to A Big Hand for the Doctor, and Doctor Who is still not on, not until September possibly, but I did finish all the available levels in Doctor Who Legacy.
Whoa,
have a nice week,
wow.
Chrissy. Ooh, wow.
I think you've far surpassed all of us on Doctor Who Legacy.
I think I'm a third, maybe halfway through the Series 6.
I haven't
8
even
levels into Series 6.
I haven't even gotten into Series 6.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Doctor Who Legacy, because you said something about the fan thing.
But yeah, I do want to point this out. We're going to clearly put a Doctor Who Legacy review on the schedule. I think we definitely need to do that.
We haven't done that by now.
We are. Well, that's just it. We have been. I think we should give it a proper review, I guess I should say, because we have been giving our bits and pieces. What I did do this week, by the way, is I did unlock the fan area. And here's Glenn coming on the podcast again to say why you should purchase things.
Damn it.
I've played this game long enough for weeks and weeks on end now to know that this is a good game. Now, this is a game that I would have paid $5 for. The fan area requires a $5 purchase of crystals, at least a $5 purchase in the U.S. of crystals in order to unlock the fan area. That's how they're getting their money.
Get for that?
6, I believe. So, I did that because, number one, I'm a fan. Number two, it's such a good game I would have paid $5 for it. I didn't know that I would have paid $5 for it until I played it, which makes it even better that it's a freemium game, as they call them.
Freemium?
Freemium. It's a premium, but it's free. It's free, but there's premiums.
Premium elements?
Yeah, premium elements. So it's a freemium game.
Like Jurassic Park.
And I didn't do this until and now this is why I want to talk about this, because I didn't do this until I got online and read about what was in the fan area. Essentially, the fan area is just another set of levels called fan levels. And they range anywhere from easy to medium to hard. It's simply all they are. And they have things that, and they're out of the TV realm. And in fact, there's only one that has the TV icon that was part of the series. They're all, conglomerations of things from the series. And they're quite enjoyable levels. There's nothing special of them other than they have time fragments that you can get in there as well. However, you can get what's called Fan Churchill. And I will tell you right now, I unlocked this by purchasing my 6-time crystals for $5. And I immediately went to the Winston Churchill level, played it, and got him immediately. And I was so excited about that I scrolled on up into, I think it was an upper medium or even lower hard level, and played the one that has what's called Fan Ood Sigma. And I played that and beat it and dropped him immediately again. And as I've done this, actually I got 2 free crystals in the first game that I played on this. So now I've already gotten 2 crystals back that of the money that I paid to get crystals. So I've got more crystals from that, and then I dropped 1 more later when I played another level. So I've got 3 crystals back, in addition to the 6 that I bought, obviously. Right. But I'm getting I feel like I'm getting my money's worth by even going into the fan area, even though there's not much more than that. I'll be honest with you, there's probably only about a dozen episodes in there that you can play. However, keep in mind that when you get free apps, these are games that they're wanting to make money off of so that they can continue to make them, they can make them better, they can continue to improve them so that your money goes to support, what's the company that makes this? I can't remember now.
Mindless? What?
Yeah.
No.
You're close. It's,
on.
now I can't remember. Legal.
BBC Worldwide, blah, blah, blah. Nope.
Oh, bummer.
Hold on. I'll just reload the game. It pops up in that menu.
It does, doesn't it? Why can't I remember this? I was just
It's got a little fez on it, too.
Yeah. Oh, what the heck is it? Something Mindless Games. I think you're right. Well, let's keep looking it up.
Well, Tiny Rebel Games.
Tiny Rebel Games. That's what it is. That's what I'm thinking of. So it enables Tiny Rebel Games to make some money to put out their product and continue to make and improve on this game, which is already a lot of fun and phenomenal for those of us that are addicted to it. So I wanted to go there and say that I'm not saying, because there are people that get free apps and that's all they get, and I'm fine with that because that's okay. What I don't want to hear from people is, well, why would I pay for that? Or, I only play free apps because, like, they're entitled to get free apps because they have a smartphone. I hate that. If all you do is get free apps because you don't want to pay for apps, that's fine. But don't be some elitist like you deserve every app on your phone to be free.
That sense
but
of
anyway,
entitlement.
If you are just playing as free, continue, go ahead, feel free. I just want to point out that any purchases that you make, and I'm not encouraging you to go and buy everything that you can buy in there because I'm on a budget. I understand those kind of things, but it certainly was worth it to me to pay the $5 to get because I would have paid $5 for this game if I'd have known it was this good anyway. So I'll get off my soapbox again, but there's my this week's Glenn why you should pay for things podcast. Part of the podcast.
And if you send us a copy of your receipt, then we'll send you something.
No. And for those of you that won our last contest, your content is coming, I promise you. It's in the mail.
Oh, you did get it delivered. Okay, good.
We got it to the mailbox this weekend, so you should be seeing it in the next few days.
It's in the mail! Yay!
That's all I have.
We're just like British Rail, love. We may be late, but we get you there.
That's all I have.
Next up, Rachel. Rachel writes...
Oh, I forgot. I'm sorry, Rachel. I didn't mean to interrupt the flow of the feedback.
Well, that's okay.
No, that's okay.
Glenn's rant.
It worked well because she talked about being done with every level. I can't believe she's done with all the levels. That's awesome, Chrissy. Oh, somebody else who's playing Doctor Who Legacy, Rachel.
Yeah.
How's that for
Hello, Vortex gang. I hope everyone is having a great start to the new year. Sorry I've been silent these past few weeks with Christmas, New Year's, and family time, practically everyone getting sick, and a lot of Doctor Who Legacy. Well, time seems to have slipped past me. Now we're having a blizzard, and I don't even have any chocolate digestives to snack on, as they're all on my desk at work. They're on the counter. I realized afterwards that we didn't break them out last week.
We did. Oh, we didn't get them last week. It was 2 weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
James had one. He was excited by them. So. Digestive? Digestive?
Yes, please.
They haven't gotten stale, have they? I kind of realized now that I should have put them in a bag.
You can't have one. You're reading.
Oh,
God, they're stale. No. Still no tea.
Yeah.
I got digestives.
You really fail at this podcast hosting business.
Sean brought the digestives. What are you taking credit for that?
I hosted them here.
You kept them.
I kept them. I didn't eat them all.
You really fail at this podcast hosting thing. If you were a server, you'd be down.
Yeah, that's why I'm not a server.
Hey, somebody got it.
grenade one, but it took a minute.
It's my tech joke for the week.
Oh, well, at least I still have the internet and plenty of Doctor Who to keep me entertained. Speaking of Doctor Who, Planet of the Giants, I missed Friday Night Who, but I have watched the story previously. What really stood out to me in this story is the set design. Considering how small of a budget they were working with back then, to be able to make sets that were pretty convincing and making Team TARDIS look so tiny in it is an accomplishment that shouldn't be overlooked. I also found it entertaining that due to their size, Team TARDIS really didn't have any direct interaction with the protagonists of the story until the end when they make the makeshift bomb with the gas trap. Usually the Doctor is right there in the middle of everything. This time he was in the middle of a drain pipe. Overall, I think this is one of my favorite Hartnell stories, if for anything else, due to the unique premise. That's all I have for now. Since I'm snowed/frozen in, I guess I can spend the next few days watching the web for possible set pictures, since Who is supposed to be beginning filming on Monday. Oh. Until then, everyone stay safe, warm, and dry. Rachel. P.S. Sorry, guys, but I have to say it. Go Colts!
Rachel, it's comments like that'll get you uninvited to Christmas dinner on the podcast. If you guys played a heck of a fourth quarter, I guess I can allow that.
I didn't watch the game.
They shouldn't be undersold for the quality of game they played when they finally decided to play the game.
Yeah, they played a quality fourth quarter.
For a while there, Andrew Luck was their best running back. And for anybody that doesn't follow football, he's the quarterback.
Ooh, that's not good.
And there's Keith.
Hey, sports! That's it for feedback.
All right, well, let's move into our reviews.
Planets of... Oh, see, I was trying to avoid doing that.
Oh.
Yeah, see? It's Glenn's fault.
That'll learn you.
The TARDIS doors open accidentally while the ship is in flight. Although they have arrived back on Earth in the 1960s, a time they have been trying to return since they all met, the travelers soon realize that something is very wrong. The Doctor, Ian, Barbara, and Susan discover that they have all been reduced in size. Well, that's a spoiler. And the world they are now exploring has dangers at every turn.
Considering the title is Planet of Giants.
Yeah, but that makes the title makes you think
you could have landed on a planet full of giants.
Giant bugs.
Suddenly they tell you on the back side, they give away the fact that, well, it's not.
I don't know. It's
not like that Twilight. It's not like that Twilight Zone episode where they land on the. Well, where the lady keeps seeing the little men from somewhere, and she keeps trying to, kill them, and they're like rodents, but they're these little men in spacesuit, and she's like, trying to kill them and run from them. They keep showing up, and they're shooting at her, and then at the end, she finally gets the upper hand, and then when they spoilers cut to the ship that's landed in her closet, we find out that it's actually humans from Earth that have landed on this planet, and she's the alien.
She's the alien.
Yeah. It's
amazing
amazing
I don't think
story.
I've seen that story.
Sorry, I ruined it for you. Amazing story. No dialogue whatsoever. She screams and shouts and makes noises that way, but there's no dialogue at all. So, number one, you don't get the fact that she's really not from Earth. She doesn't speak English, obviously, which is great because she's all by herself in her house. And it's not until the end when you hear them radioing back to Earth saying, "Hostile planet, don't come here. We're in danger, mayday," kind of thing. So,
wow, that's impressive.
Oh, man. One of my favorite Twilight Zone. Which, it's one of those ones that you watch and you're going, this is kind of boring. I mean, just step on them or something. And you're like, and then the end is the huge payoff. Yeah. You're like, oh, wow, that was amazing. So, anyway, spoilers.
It's like the planet of the ugly people.
Yeah, the big people. Well, you don't see them.
Yeah,
you just see it from her perspective.
Yeah.
And they take off the bandages finally, and she looks fine. Yeah. Everybody thinks she's all grotesque. And it's because they all are. That was a good one, too.
Okay, so anyway. Dun, dun, dun!
Yeah!
I really, really like this episode.
I thoroughly enjoyed this one as well. Probably for more in line with the reasons a lot of people were pointing out in the feedback. And there's only really one thing that bothered me, and we'll get to that when we start talking about it here, but what do you guys think of the sets?
Oh, the sets were
amazing.
Go there first,
Some of the
that's the first
best
thing you notice.
sets I've seen on Classic
I would
Who,
agree
I think.
with this whole, dogging Doctor Who because it's not dogging it, but excusing Doctor Who because it was on in the 1960s with a shoestring budget, and then seeing
this
things
is
like
phenomenal.
this, it's just they really did for 1964 television was really great stuff.
There was a lot of work and a lot of attention to detail put into these.
Yeah.
I thoroughly was able to suspend my disbelief. I mean, when we first encountered the giant earthworm, well, I've been to that exhibit at Science City in Kansas City, and we went under the ground and we got shrunk, and there was a giant earthworm hanging off the wall. It looked just like that.
Right.
The briefcase looked like a briefcase.
Yeah.
The matchbox looked like the giant posters and the cans and the giant match.
Everything looked
The
like it
sink
should.
was phenomenal with the chain going up and the attention to detail that
They could even
weird
climb
flat,
on the chain,
rope ladder kind of or metal ladder chain thing. Now I don't quite understand why you put a giant matchbox that Ian feels the need to get in it.
There's a lot Ian does in this story that doesn't quite make sense.
He had to hide. He had to hide in the briefcase too.
Yeah, that didn't make sense either. Especially after the matchbox.
Yeah, I hid in the matchbox and got picked up.
I
I'll
can
get in the
excuse
briefcase
the matchbox
It
because
sort of makes sense
he was
as a
in-
device, but it's almost like you should have thought a little bit more there.
The
A lot
matchbox
more
I can
there.
excuse because he was in there exploring what it was,
Right,
And
he didn't.
all of a sudden
he wasn't
gets
even
dark
really
and somebody
hiding
picks
at
him
that
up.
time.
That I can excuse.
Right.
It's when he crawls inside the briefcase to hide. It's like, what?
And here's why, and I don't want to ruin anything, but here's why they could pay such attention to the oversized objects that they were using to do such a good job. Did you guys ever notice the backgrounds, with the exception of when they're in the garden? When they're in the laboratory, the background's all dark.
Oh, yeah.
It's completely dark. They didn't have to worry about any other sets except for what was right there in front of them.
And that makes sense.
And that was well done.
Yeah,
and
extremely
when they're
well
even when
realized.
they're in the garden, I think they're sort of reusing those walled sets that are kind of serving as the dirt that they're standing next to, and that because in the insects, even there, they don't shoot outside of the expansion of where you can pan left or right. It's really kind of just right there in one area, and you could tell that they did a really good job of reusing those backdrops in that as well.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where they got away, is they realized that they could kind of go with a minimalist approach with how the shots were composed and with what was in the background, and concentrate whatever money they used on that for the larger set pieces that end up being phenomenal and really well done. So
Agreed.
I think that was a wise choice in the budgeting of money for that particular story.
And even the garden, when the doctor climbs up which look at Hartnell being all chivalrous. Don't climb up there; you could get hurt. I'll do it. Yeah, okay.
All right, doctor, whatever.
But when he
up there, old
he
man.
kind of gets up to the top, and they kind of bring the camera up just enough.
Oh, and that shot.
that there's
Right.
foliage or something up there,
Right.
And then we get that wonderful across the lawn look. It was just
Well, and even as much as you can tell, it was green screen. The effect of them standing in front of the dead person for the time I thought looked good.
I don't think it was. I think it was rear projection.
It's not green screen. It'd be rear projection in those days.
However they did it I thought was
Because,
impressive for the time, and especially on television.
Color overlay effect wasn't used until color. So.
And it took
That
me
makes sense.
a while. I didn't realize when Ian's walking in front of it, and he sees the guy, and he pulls out his handkerchief and holds it up, and I was like, "What are you doing? Measuring his open mouth? Are you going to crawl in there next?" And it wasn't until earlier tonight. So I've had to dwell on this episode for a couple of days that I realized he was checking for breath. Mm-hmm. He was waiting to see if the handkerchief waved from. Oh, that's how he knew he was dead.
Yep.
Okay, because he obviously couldn't find a pulse.
Right.
He wasn't
Right.
going.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to.
He's too small.
He's too small to do it.
That's certainly what he was
So
doing.
that was a huge. And now it's even cooler.
Yep.
So.
Yep. I think what also most impresses me about this is from a story perspective, because we can ooh and ah over the sets, but the story's got to be good too.
Yeah,
from a
that's true.
story perspective, what I really appreciate about this is we've got bad guys in it, we've got antagonists, we've got a second story that's going on there that we're afraid is going to
and ultimately we culminate with them as well, but never directly.
Yeah.
The antagonist in the majority of this story is the elements. It's the situation. It's the environment. That's the antagonist.
It's being
the cat.
small.
It's being small. It's the cat. It's the water in the sink. It's just all of those little things. It's the poison that Barbara initially comes into contact. Finally, it's all of those things that they have to do, and it also the environment also becomes their device or their hero as well in how they utilize it in order to get out of their situation.
Yeah.
So
and
I absolutely love the structure.
Got out of the situation. I thought was
The
brilliant.
Bunsen
Making that
burner
explosion
was
just smart.
really, really, really great structure of the story. I do certainly appreciate the fact that they realized that I think that either they ran out of time or they were it was just really dragging out and they needed to cut that one story out entirely.
To bonus features, they thought it was running long and just boring.
And I think that didn't I understand from it in the bonus features that they felt like they were going to cut back the season by one story, and this was the best way to do it. I think I read that somewhere.
It was more along the lines that
they thought the script was crap.
Well, yeah. Whoever watched it when they were finished decided that the third and fourth parts spent far too much time on, I don't know, Bert the cop and the one on the other end of telephone.
Lady, yeah.
Oh, right.
There was apparently a lot of scenes of them.
I can see where they felt like they were setting something up, a little more the storyline there, but didn't quite get to it, although they served their purpose, so I was fine with that. Mm-hmm. But I'm really appreciative that they really did edit down 3 and 4, and I want to go back and watch how they've restructured them on this disc so that there is a 3 and a 4.
Thanks
they're
to
not
Ian Levine,
quite as long.
actually.
Yeah, they're not quite as long and as episodic as they would be, but they can read.
I thought he did the original script.
See, I understand it's not exactly the same length, but it's still shortened in such a way that how they did it. But
I think probably you have to, because what they did was, from the bonus feature we watched, they got in impersonators to re-record the voices.
Right, exactly.
And so any of the
except
action,
for Carol Ann Ford and
William Russell.
who did their own, right.
So any of the action
and the guy who does
would
Arkham
be
is really
kind of
good.
described, and then you go on.
Exactly.
So it'd be like a recon.
Exactly.
So it'd be recon shortened.
See, I thought it was animated.
No, they did say parts animated in it.
Episodes 3 and 4 reconstruction using original scripts, newly recorded dialogue, and animation.
Oh, it does say animation?
28 minutes and 24 minutes.
Oh, well, then the one is as long. Because I had read that they were both even still truncated from what their original running times would have been. So.
I'm really curious to go back and watch those now.
Anyway, so, but coming down on it, I'm glad that they really did do that because it really does pace out that last episode really well.
Yeah,
how many times have we reviewed a story and said, wow, this was longer than it needed to be?
This was just one episode too long.
Yeah.
Well, this is the one situation where they took our advice retroactively.
now, consequently, the fact that they shortened the season by one episode, this is how we got stuck with Mission to the Unknown.
Oh, that's what I was thinking of. That's how it affected. It was affected. They came up one short.
They were one short.
I do remember.
So Mission to the Unknown it's a Dr. Light episode because
it's a Dr. Less episode.
It's a Dr. Light episode.
No, it's a Dr. Less episode.
Yeah, it's very light.
No, it's very less. It's absent. It's gone. You can't call it Dr. Light because he's not even in it.
But that was commissioned to make up for the loss of this one. But,
while I think it was a good thing that they cut it short, I was kind of disappointed when it ended because I was enjoying it so much. I was I would have watched more, actually. So
another 20, 30 minutes, though?
I don't know.
Yeah.
See, it depends on what they had done with the time.
I'm pretty grateful that they didn't because of that aspect.
Going back and thinking about it, I think, yes, it makes sense that they cut it in the way they did it. Mm-hmm. But while watching it, I thought, that was good fun. I liked that. I would have watched
good
more.
Fun. That's what it boils down to. It's not a really in-depth script. My biggest complaint with it is,
here's the part of the show where we're going to tear it apart.
No, I'm not going to tear anything apart other than I also felt like the writer didn't quite have a handle on the characters. However, I felt that the characters, for what they had, were really grabbing onto the story.
The actors did a good job.
They did. They portrayed their characters based on what they had. My biggest problem was I have no earthly idea, and I hope somebody can tell me, why would Barbara withhold the fact that she already had been poisoned? There was no real good reason for it.
Other than her being a trooper. Well, I won't say anything
love
until
that.
we get out of it.
That's fine. That's
But-
within Barbara's character. But we could have probably...
I'm sorry.
The doctor would have said, "Hey, once we get this back to normal, you'll be okay." I mean, that's he knew that was going to be the result.
Ian saw her touch the seeds
Yeah.
and picked them up and gave him her handkerchief.
Yeah, but he was.
Why did he not remember
he
this?
was not paying attention
He was
to
quite
her.
distracted, and I think that's the point they were trying to make.
Because Barbara more
he
than
was
Ian
so-
in this story.
He was so enamored of what was going on that I think the idea was that he saw it but didn't notice, but didn't really register what was going on.
It didn't come across on the tweet stream, for those of you that did join us for Friday night, and for Glenn who missed it altogether. The room was... we laughed so hard because the entire crux of that part of the story seemed to be... Well, certain doom awaits for anybody. It's a good thing you didn't touch those, did
Yeah,
you?
and they kept driving that point home.
It was almost like a melodrama.
I felt so bad for Barbara throughout the entire thing because while
I kept shouting at the screen, going, "Just tell them."
He would make some comment about, "Wow, that poor thing is dead. It's a good thing you didn't touch the seat." And it's almost like the camera pushed in our face with a dun dun dun, moment, and then go to something else, and then come back to her, and she's like, "Well, what do you think
she
about?"
would have at least cried, and then Ian could have said, "What's wrong?" And she goes, "I made a mistake and touched the stuff." No,
and you saw me do it, dummies.
So maybe we should get the formula and try and copy it down. Well, what for? Anybody who touched the seeds would be dead. Just dun dun dun. I mean,
Doesn't kill you.
kept driving that home.
Oh, it was on and on and on, and we laughed every single time. It was like, well, thank goodness you didn't do that.
Maybe she was.
Oh wait.
Maybe because he kept reiterating it. Maybe she felt stupid at that
Maybe.
point. I'm not going to say anything.
I'm not going to say anything now. I'd
just
rather
gonna die.
I'd rather die because I would die of embarrassment.
That's what it seemed like. Come on. But that's my biggest complaint, and that's a minor one. So. No, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I can see Chrissy's point about how I don't think that the characters were quite written well enough.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, I thought the actors did with what they had.
They
really
brought their
portrayed their
characters
characters.
to-
Did you recognize what was his name? Forrester, the main bad guy with the gun who shot the guy dead and was
I didn't recognize him.
R.K. Maroon.
That's who that was?
That's who that was.
Get outta here.
As soon as he opened it, because he has that kind of craggy
Yeah.
face and everything, and I looked at him and thought, "Oh, I know you from somewhere." And then he started to talk like this, and I went, "Oh!"
Wow.
and looked him up.
Maroon
and
cartoons,
That's
Roger
what he's.
Rabbit,
That's
all bizarre.
apparently what he's most known for. He hasn't done much, but he's
very
gone now.
cool.
But yeah, that was
No,
him.
I did not recognize him at all. I'll be darned.
You don't want to go to Toontown. You don't got to go to Toontown.
Yeah.
That was him. That was him. So.
I do think Susan was written really well in that story.
Susan was exceptionally well written in the story because she was take charge and she helped grandfather out.
She's
and
not just
not the
damsel in
screamer.
distress. Yeah.
She's really well written, and unfortunately,
She's got genuine concern for the doctor too in this, and I loved that. You could really tell the relationship there.
And unfortunately, because it's not on Susan, that means it's down to Barbara to be the damsel in distress.
yeah.
Um,
Well, she didn't even follow through and do that.
Well, it's not like she touched the seeds. It could have been
Because
a lot
anybody that
worse.
touched the seeds, that could have been really bad.
so bad.
Thank goodness that Barbara wasn't stupid enough to go and pick something up and then stick her face in it because, wow, it could have ended badly. Can I borrow your handkerchief?
Part of me thinks Ian was so out of character in it, though. Because after all he's
was
seen
the
up to
most
this
noticeable,
point,
yeah.
he should not be this wowed. Amazed, yes, but not so distracted he didn't notice something like that. Or to not get the idea that they
you
shrunk.
can keep beating that, but I know men. I know how they act. My wife will tell me about a 30-minute long story, and then I will. When did you tell me that? Like 5 minutes ago.
Well, even
But
even
he's
within the
supposed to
course
be a
of the
science
adventure, though,
teacher.
too, he seemed to be the most resistant to the idea.
And I get that it's like if this were story 1, like it was originally meant to be, I get that. If it were even story 2, I would get that. But a whole season later,
I don't know.
I wonder how much of that
it almost feels like they undid a lot of what he's learned over the time he's traveled.
Okay, maybe I can see that point.
And that's my only complaint about
It's
it.
your only beef.
Yeah.
That Ian's an idiot.
Well, there were definite moments where it felt I don't know. I can see. I read some of the reviews that the critics posted at the time it came out, and everybody was not as kind as we're being, certainly. Mm-hmm. And they were very critical about the fact that we spend a lot of time dealing with this strange, DDT plot, and that nothing really happens. And that the doctor the doctor even reverses his position because Susan says maybe we could call for help. Let's go find a phone. And he's like, oh, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't be this, blah, blah, blah. But then by the end of the episode, he's the one going, I know what we need, a telephone. And it's like,
And as great as that bit was, why did they think that would work?
Are you grasping at straws?
I guess.
I think so, yeah. Nowadays, you call 911 and you don't hear anything, you send somebody.
Yeah.
Then maybe you get a cop.
But the seeing Team TARDIS work together to lift this giant receiver and the corks. Oh, the corks were genius. I wouldn't have thought of that.
The corks underneath, that was great.
Although we were trying to determine what the corks were for. Why were they in the lab?
Bottle stoppers?
Were they bottle stoppers?
You put them on the top of beakers. Not beakers. What are the flask ones?
If Team TARDIS is
they're the
like test tubes and stuff.
No.
The triangular glass.
The triangular
ones.
glass.
Okay.
They have a name. I can't remember what they're called.
Beakers.
Now we use rubber stoppers in them, but back then they would have used cork.
Well, we were just trying to determine if Team TARDIS was about an inch tall.
Corks?
And the corks were about this tall. The scale was a little off.
There are some things in there that weren't quite to scale. I think the matches should have been bigger as well. But
we let it go.
Yeah.
So
I think it was the corks that made me say, wait a minute, some of this isn't exactly to scale.
When they picked that match up and Ian's explaining to her.
The fact that it took two of them to do the match, I was impressed.
Well, and then Ian's explaining that we're going to charge it like a battering ram, but we're going to angle ourselves along the thing. And I'm like, how is that going to... And then kind of bouncing off the box, I was just like... I just laughed uproariously because it was just like, this is genius. Thank God I was not shrunk to an inch tall and thrown in some guy's backyard. I wouldn't have made it out. I'd have picked up the seed. I would
have taken a bite out of it.
Hopefully you'd have had enough sense to tell us early on.
No.
I guess I can excuse that because it's a trope now, especially like in zombie films. How many people get bitten and don't say anything?
That's a good point. Well, that's because they didn't want their brains blown out.
I think I tweeted that. Well, they're going to die regardless.
They want their brains blown out.
Might as well get left behind so you don't sacrifice the people you're with.
Because I think there's always hope. But Barbara just seemed resigned the whole time that, I'm
No, I think she had hope. They would get
back
to the TARDIS.
High hopes.
I think she started out with hope, and then they started drilling that home, and then she lost all hope because they're all insensitive.
Ian was such a doubting Thomas through the whole thing. It's like, at least you didn't touch the sea. I don't know how many times I can drive that point home for you. It's like this poor fly, it died instantly. Did you see that? It just barely touched the pile of seeds, and it keeled over dead. Could you imagine what this would do to a human being if somebody was stupid enough to come along and pick up a pile of seeds?
I thought the fly was great too, and the fact that it was constantly twitching.
Yeah,
that was really nice little touch to include there.
I think in
a way there was another thing that was kind of like, I don't know, but
I have to agree with James. I think there was one missed opportunity here at the end in part 4. He's sitting there watching this with this big goofy grin on his face, and he says, if they ride the cat back to the TARDIS, this will be my favorite episode ever. And then it didn't happen, and he was all despondent. I was like, it was part of that part they had to cut out.
We didn't see how they got back to the TARDIS.
They just get back. So in your head, they rode the cat back, and he had a big grin again. I had never seen this one before, so I was thoroughly enamored with it, and I loved it. I thought it was great.
Caitlin and I rewatched it this weekend on Hulu because it's one of the ones on Hulu's. But as I was watching First Doctor's a few weeks ago stories, I got to this one and I went, well, I'm not watching this on Hulu. I own it, so I actually watched the disc for that one. So
I've kind of said to myself, because I have so many First Doctor stories right now, that I'm done buying any First Doctor stories. But if this one might make an exception because I enjoy it so much.
It's only one disc too, and
it'll be a bit more
very
affordable.
Expensive. Yeah, it is a more affordable one. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to our next bit of review.
A Big Hand for the Doctor, London, 1900. The First Doctor is missing both his hand and his granddaughter Susan. Faced with the search for Susan, a strange beam of soporic light, a host of marauding soul pirates intent on harvesting human limbs, the Doctor is promised a dangerous journey into a land he may never forget.
Okay, I'm going to split this. For the story itself, I'm going to give it a dun dun dun. For the fact
Story
that,
or content?
For the content.
Okay.
For the fact that it's a first Doctor Who story. Not quite a horn, but
what did we determine that was going to be now? Because we said during Planet of Giants, the music to the cliffhanger of episode 1 was the perfect middle ground of not
dun 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 and the horn.
Yeah, it's in between the two.
When the cat showed up, it was like it was this weird cartoon theremin. That's the only way I can describe it.
That's what this
It
is.
wasn't really menacing. It was almost cartoonish and comical that there's this giant cat about to eat you. I'm mildly alarmed.
Maybe that's it. I don't know. Do you want to start?
Yeah. I liked the story. The story in and of itself, I really enjoyed. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it was inventive. I thought it was very, very oddball, almost Douglas Adams-esque with some of the things that were thrown about. I like stupid villains, so Igby and some of the pirates were just kind of... And the fact that they had a rationale for being stupid, that they were beam riders.
It's Douglas Adams without the comedy.
Well, yeah, that was just it. Is that there were some of these oddball things. The one that really got me is...
the fact that you think it's Douglas Adams, he makes sense since he did write the 6th or 7th Hitchhiker's book.
And I didn't think of that, but now it actually kind of gives me a little hope to go back and read that one because I hadn't read it yet. So now I'm a little more excited about reading it. And another thing. But
see that it actually sort of makes me leery about reading it now because I was excited to read it, but now I kind of felt the same way as that. This was very Hitchhiker-esque without the comedy, without the humor.
Well, it's the oddball stuff. It's certainly not as good of Douglas Adams as Douglas Adams, or even as Gareth Roberts would have written Douglas Adams. Yeah. But I think the kind of tonal is there. The problem is it's an inappropriate tone for the First Doctor.
It really is. It doesn't feel anything like
the story that got me is when he's recounting he's in the tractor beam and he's like, this must have been what it felt like to be swallowed. And he had been on a couple of different occasions by the blah, blah, blah whales of the planet such and such. And you get swallowed and then you get spit up through the blowhole and the whales all sit around high-fiving each other. And what are you going to do? It's a 40-ton whale. I laughed out loud at that bit. But
that was a very Douglas Adams.
I can't see the First Doctor relating this story, even internally. I just can't see it.
Through this whole story, I kept thinking Fourth Doctor. I kept thinking this would have been a perfect Fourth Doctor story.
Yeah.
And if he did intend to write it as a First Doctor story, I think what he tried to do was... because I don't know about you guys, but to me, the First Doctor feels the most separate from all the other Doctors because he's so different. And so, First Doctor.
I think that's certainly true.
Yeah.
This is. It feels like he's trying to connect to make him more of a complete person, and it just doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
It's like trying to bring him into the fold of the rest of the Doctors, where it's just not true to who he was, as far as we know, as television at least.
There were little things that he did that I really liked. I liked the idea, and I'll be honest, it wasn't until the end of the story that I picked up on the fact that this was a prior time period of London. I still thought we were in the 60s through the whole opening bit when he calls a cab and everything. I just didn't pick up on it. But he's talking about the stench of London. And when the Doctor can't handle it anymore, he jumps in the cab and he puts his handkerchief up to his face, but he's actually got the filter, the rebreather or something in there, the oxygenator. And that was on like, oh, he did do that all the time. I thought that was a really cool bit for the Doctor to do.
And the stuff with the surgeon with being grumpy the way he was. I think it started out fine.
That's just it. Owen Coffer captures the First Doctor in that shop with the guy that crafts his hand for him. And I think that's the only time that I really feel that he's very First Doctor. He's a bit crotchety. He doesn't have time for this. He wants it his way. That was very First Doctor to me. And then suddenly when he gets into the adventure part of this story, then that's when I'm taken out of it. I'm thinking this was more suited for a younger Doctor, for a different Doctor.
There's even a nice reference that when he's on the roof or whenever, he's thinking, that future version of me would be better
Yeah,
at this.
it was
And
just-
that
it
was
was-
just so. It was like it was going to try to connect all these stories.
It was
but
a
I
weird-
wasn't sure how I felt about
Yeah,
that
I
either.
thought the same thing.
I kind
The
of
one
there's a
that
part of me
wasn't
that
sure what
liked
to
the
think.
idea that he would get these precognitive
Yes.
flashes, but then there was another part that was like, no,
Yes.
No, that's just wrong.
I agree. I agree with you entirely because I thought I appreciate that effort there, and it was a nice little nod, but I wasn't quite sure how to feel about it because it was almost not right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It wasn't quite right.
But I liked the idea of the pirate. I liked once again, and this is the other thing that I think you mentioned. Fourth Doctor. I think this would have been a very fitting 11th Doctor story
11th Doctor.
in that
10th Doctor.
he's fighting so hard for the children.
Oh yeah.
That just seems to me a natural. I mean, not that Hartnell didn't, but that he's. I don't know. Even because we talked about that definitive split in Hartnell's Doctor between pre-Susan and post-Susan, that he seems to have lightened up a lot once she left. But she's obviously still with him in here, and it's an early adventure. It's obviously before Ian and Barbara show up, certainly.
He does show a great deal of concern for Susan through the entire
He does,
thing.
and I liked that, because that to me very much called back to
and I did like
the Doctor that I know.
It was post the surgeon when she goes off and he's kind of grumpy about the fact that you should have waited, and that I thought that was very first Doctor.
That was true. That is too.
But even the and what's funny is through the whole fight on the rooftop, I thought to myself, you've got flying children, you've got pirates, you've got a sword fight. This is Peter Pan.
That makes a good Jan Barry model.
This is so Peter Pan. You just need Barry,
Yeah.
And then that included the little bit at the end, and I was like,
Yep.
all right,
That
cool.
was neat.
You know,
I do appreciate that the fact that it was Jan Barry watching. He doesn't call him by name, but that he's watching, and that obviously was a premise for Peter Pan for him. So that was neat. That was a neat way to tie in some historical
that was very, very cool to that.
fiction. So.
But I don't know. It just I agree with you, Keith. That there's so many of these little moments. It just felt like he's trying to put those tentacles out and everything.
Yeah.
Because you had the the 11th Doctor kind of awkwardness. You had the 4th Doctor humor. You had the ending where he's overloaded the ship's tractor beam or whatever to explode. It was like that's a Tennant move.
Tennis or even 2. I could kind
Yeah.
of see Hartnell messing with the computer a little bit, but not as much as
Yeah. So it just
the thought process was very 10.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
thought,
yes, yeah.
of why he was going to do it.
Yeah.
And so there were a lot of things that it's like, well, I like the fact that you're kind of trying to throw all the Doctors into a blender and pour them into the first Doctor to maybe liven him up a little bit, but I'm just not sure that worked. I think I would have preferred just kind of a straight first Doctor adventure, and then maybe saved this one for the 4th book or something where that feel would have just felt a little more appropriate.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm stuck in my fandom when I
Well,
like
that's
things a
just
certain
it.
way.
Well, but
I think
if you're
so.
recognizing and celebrating 50 years of Who, you should represent the era that you're writing about.
And that's true.
Yeah.
It'd be one thing if this were a one-off short story that he wrote and got published in an anthology of short stories, but this is for the 50th anniversary. You should get it right.
Yeah.
Well, and I wonder if because he's Owen Koffler.
Tougher, isn't it?
There's an L in it, so I'm not sure.
I don't know.
The guy
He looks
who
like
wrote,
Ian to me.
he wrote Artemis Fowl. He wrote this. He succeeded Douglas Adams in writing a book. I mean, he must know what he's doing. And I wonder how much of it was the publishing house just saying, "Go write us a book," and then publishing whatever they got with very little editing. Or maybe it was very little editing from a Who standpoint because it was just, we're just going to put the book out. It's an ebook anyway.
I wonder if it's they reached out to all these people and said,
Ian
"Hey, write a Doctor Who story, short story," and then later was like, "Hey, can you make that a first Doctor story?"
It certainly would explain why it
Or
has
hey,
that
could you
feel.
make this
Yeah.
like? I wonder if we're gonna have an encounter something like this later, where it feels like a different Doctor because that's who they thought they were writing for.
Right.
And they kind of changed last minute, and we're like, "Well, I'm not going to rewrite this whole thing. I'm just going to change some few things.
I'll drop him in and, you know.
Change the companion to Susan, and we're good."
Well, here's the
And,
thing.
and how much of it was, I really want to know now the process of this. Did they like get all the authors together originally and then put all the Doctors into a hat?
and
it's
they
like,
draw them out.
oh, I got the first
I know,
Doctor.
they
And
were
everybody's
kind
like, ah.
They were kind of announcing them as they went along, though. So I got the impression that they were just lining them up as they needed on the right 50 pages.
So it's not like Neil Gaiman had a full year to write his.
Exactly. The only thing that I can dispute the idea of the fact that he may have wrote it with another doctor in mind and then when he changed it, is the relationship between the Doctor and Susan seems very sincere and good, and there's a nice little compassionate moment there when he finally gets to the ship. He's genuinely concerned about Susan, even though he's complaining about her running off and he told her not to do it. But then he turns around and he's very, the moment where he tells everybody you have to hold on, don't let go, and Susan really connects with him and understands, even though he's not able to explain what's going on and what he's about to do. You get that real instant trust connection, and I thought that really kind of made a nice little relationship moment between them. And then the idea that she, after they're shot out of the thing, and they're waiting for that gravity bubble, whatever, to come out and catch him. And which there was a little bit of that moment of, is it really going to make it? And of course, it's going to make it to him, but because there is that drawn out where they're kind of in a free fall there for a while, and I can't remember exactly how it's written, but
wouldn't that have been a shocking end?
Susan, when she's explaining it later, kind of gives the impression that she had total trust in her grandfather, and so there's those little relationship things there that would have been hard to kind of, I think, pepper in had you not written for the first Doctor in the first place.
I can see that too.
Yeah. I don't know.
It could go either way.
It was an enjoyable read. It was a quick read.
Was anybody taken aback by the fact that he was getting a replacement hand?
Yeah.
And I kept thinking, are we trying to retroactively say that he's got a replacement hand
and he's got a...
It clearly wasn't the two-fingered one that he got that had lady fingernails, painted fingernails on it. And I do like the way that the Doctor was trying to finagle the time that he was going to have to help, what was his name, Aldridge?
Yeah.
I was kind of glad that he was negotiating it down from 6 weeks to, how about 2 weeks? And then they're kind of bartering the meat in the middle. And the Doctor's still reluctantly, going along with having to do it.
I also really like this. Another Doctor moment is when he realizes that Aldridge would have had that dampening field up around his shop, so he missed out on all these messages. That was an Eighth Doctor moment. I could hear McGann going, "Stupid Doctor, just missing out on,
Sure.
It went to voicemail, stupid Doctor. So, I don't know. Like I said, I thought it was an enjoyable story, but I just wasn't necessarily sold that it was a First Doctor story.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from on that.
It would almost be,
and the swearing. I agree with Chrissy on that. When he said "damn it" or whatever it was,
had I known the reference and read the Artemis Fowl, I might have had taken more issue with it. But to me, it was just a slang, darn it, or dang it,
see, that's just it. This is kind of one of those dangerous traps you fall into with Doctor Who. Is just because the hero doesn't smoke or drink or womanize or swear on screen
doesn't mean he can't.
Doesn't mean that he doesn't. It just means we don't see it. But there's so much evidence to the fact that he doesn't. And I don't know why that I'm totally okay with one or two of these things, but the swearing kind of threw me, because I took it as a swear. I took it, that's a sci-fi trope. It's like frack. It's one of those things that you throw in there when you want to say this, but you really don't think you can get away with saying that, so you come up with something else instead of saying that, and you invent the word. That's what it felt like to me. Well, I didn't know anything about the genealogy of the word. It just felt like a swear word. And even Mike, that hackles, kind of went, I don't know about that, but all right, I'll go with it. And I tried to rationalize it. It was like, well, the Doctor's been in some big scrapes. I'm sure the War Doctor swore up a storm at the Daleks. There's no doubt in my mind that he flung a few epitaphs around during the Time War. But I just can't see it.
So I didn't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with it.
It didn't feel too weighty to me, I guess, was the reason why. The particular word that was chosen just didn't feel to have that much weight.
Well, maybe it's because we're doing
more like bloody hell. You know what I mean? That's
which that I'd have been fine with. Yeah. Oddly enough, maybe because it was a made up word.
Vein, but yeah.
Maybe because it was a made up word is what triggered it. But but maybe it's because we've got soul pirates. I mean, really. The first connotation of the word when it came up, soul pirates.
We're harvesting souls.
I had this image of this, guy in an afro and bell bottoms with a cutlass.
So, pirates.
We came for your cool in the gang. I'm glad he explained it because it dispelled that image pretty quickly. I just...
I didn't even go there. I'm surprised I didn't.
Soul Pirates, rock on.
You know, I almost wouldn't have a problem with this if we had established that there was a regeneration, that Hartnell was the first regeneration, so that this amalgamation of all these doctors that we've seen later are all just different personalities of the first person that came, and that could be what he was trying to do, but it just doesn't work.
Yeah, maybe if it was a later doctor. Well, of course, we talked about
like if Moffat had fixed it so, instead of 10 being a handy doctor, it was that, well, there was actually a regeneration before the first one, before Hartnell.
Yeah, but now it's not. So,
yeah.
Maybe.
Because it did feel like he was trying.
Brain of Morbius did try to establish that.
No, it didn't. Those were all Morbius.
I know they are, and that's how we've all rectified it. But there was an attempt there to be.
No, they're all Morbius. Yeah. They're all Morbius.
In your happy little world.
No, it's not my happy list. Facts. They're all Morbius. Morbius lived longer than the Doctor. It makes sense. It's clear as crystal. I don't know why anybody's confused about that point. I just rewatched it recently. It's like, they're nuts. It's all Morbius. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Anything else about that? That was all I had to say.
Anything else? I mean, it's a decent start. I appreciate the fact that it's a ebook series that's 45 to 50 pages long. I hope they're all very similar in length.
I don't think it was even
the pacing was good. It didn't bore me. It didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't get taken out of the story much.
No.
So I'm hoping that they're all like that. It's quite an enjoyable quick
I'm hoping it set the tone
good.
for what's to come, and for our readers who haven't, our listeners who haven't read all of them,
our readers that haven't heard all of them,
or that too.
There are audiobook versions available.
We'll be doing one of these a month. It's kind of our tribute
Yeah,
to we're carrying on the torch of the 50th, even though now we're in the 51st, but. Oh, man.
No, we're not in the 51st until November 23rd.
Yeah, so...
Oh, so we were all celebrating prematurely last year? It was all
everything
49?
was build up to the 50th.
The 50th anniversary didn't happen until...
Oh, well,
we're in the 50th year.
now. So, okay, so we're celebrating the 50th.
We're the
all
only
year
ones
long.
actually celebrating the 50th.
We're doing it right.
Last year we were in the 50th calendar year. Now we're in the actual 50th year.
Yeah.
See? That's how you work that.
We've been
You who said the Paternal Millennium wasn't until 2001.
It wasn't.
So, yeah, we're going...
we celebrated the fake millennium, and then we celebrated the real millennium.
But, the real millennium. The fake millennium sucked. I'll tell you.
Yeah, that darn Y2K bug. It didn't come to fruition.
I spent mine in a bunker because somebody was afraid it was going to happen.
It let me have a great prank. I got several people positioned around the room. As soon as midnight hit, we hit all the lights.
That's great.
Yeah.
You know where I was? I was at an ATM doing a live shot.
Is it going to work?
Yep.
Is it going to work?
My card worked. Oh, joy. All right. Anyway.
This just in. We're not dead.
Well, let's talk about our one last piece for this show.
The Doctor Who's Special 2013. When Strange...
It's called The Girl Who Loved Doctor Who.
Not according to the spine.
It's The Girl Who Loved Doctor Who.
The Girl Who Loved Doctor Who. Wait, hold on.
Written by?
Paul Cornell.
Woo!
When a strange force flings the TARDIS into our universe, the Doctor encounters a 12-year-old girl who happens to be a huge fan of the Doctor Who television show. The Doctor then must grapple with being a fictional character along with monsters looking at the girl's school on the way to coming to face with an actor who portrays himself, Matt Smith.
Dun, dun, dun!
Bum, 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 bum.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Really?
Sorry.
I liked this story.
The only thing good that I can say about this is I appreciated what it was trying to do, and I appreciated the fact that he wrote it for the reason he wrote it.
It's a great message.
The story is terrible. The story is not good. It's choppy. It's quick, and it's the problem is it's a longer than usual comic and feels rushed, even with the length that it is. I didn't think the resolutions were good. The problem is it's a little too self-serving for my taste.
It is very self-serving.
It does not feel at all like a Doctor Who story, and that's my problem with it. Sometimes when stories are trying to be clever and make a nice homage and tribute to the genre, like I say, I appreciate what it was doing, why he wrote it, but the story itself doesn't work for me. It takes me completely out of the story, because sometimes when you write, to me, fantasy still can go too far to be too fantastic. And I think at this point it gets a little too fantastic for its own good. That you simply say it's an alternate universe. So in this alternate universe, the Doctor is a real guy, or is not a real guy. He's an actor portrayed on screen, and everything that has happened in the Doctor's life has happened on TV in our universe. Clearly, this is him coming over into our universe. Yes. It goes a little too far in doing that, of separating reality and fantasy. And suddenly that you're trying to throw both of them together, and it makes the fantasy be too fantastic. And so, in a bad way. And so I didn't like that, and it really took me out of the story, and it just went too far to be too self-serving for me as far as a tribute to the show. And again, I come down on the side that I don't dispute the fact that he wrote it, and I'm glad he wrote it, and it was the best medium to do it in was a comic book, but I could never have seen this as a novel. I could never have seen this as a TV show. I couldn't see this as a Big Finish audio. Even some of the Big Finish audios that I've heard where they've really stepped outside the box, I didn't feel really overstepped its bounds outside the box.
I think it had to. It could only exist as a comic.
Well, it certainly could. Yeah, absolutely. So that's really all I'm going to say about it, because I don't want to tear it down. Because, like I said, I appreciate Park Cornell's attempt and what he did there and why he did it, and I think it's a nice nod. I think the other thing that I had a problem with is reading this right after saying goodbye to Matt and saying goodbye to the 11th Doctor in the Time of the Doctor. And it's because you read this before, right? You got it Christmas
I
Eve.
did. I got it early.
I read it after, and I was already done with the 11th Doctor. I was ready to close that chapter. And so this was another thing where I felt like this was like an afterthought. It wasn't, because it was produced and even released the day before. But it felt like I was revisiting the 11th Doctor a little too soon, so that kind of tainted my view of it.
I could see that, maybe,
but yeah, overall, for those reasons, I didn't. For those reasons, I didn't enjoy it. So that's all I'm going to say about it. Because again, I don't want to tear it down.
You're completely wrong,
well,
Keith.
It's amazing.
There you go.
I'm trying to rack my brain and think of the other story that's done this. There's something else where...
Well, Stargate SG-1 did an episode where...
See, I didn't watch SG-1.
They found out that there was a show on called Wormhole Extreme.
Maybe
and initially they laughed it off. But then they realized that Wormhole Extreme was doing all these episodes based on real missions that they'd done, and they thought maybe they had a mole on the base or something that was leaking this information. Well, through a very long, convoluted process, they discovered that at one point in time in an early mission, they touched this alien artifact, and it supplanted basically a transmitter, a subconscious transmitter into a Colonel Neil's brain, and that he's been transmitting unconsciously to a guy that's got the receiving end of this, which was dug up as an artifact on Earth, and he's just got this cool rock in his basement, didn't realize what it was, and then all of a sudden he starts getting flooded with all these ideas, and he starts writing them all down, and it becomes this TV show.
Which is a more realistic way to do it.
Which is a more scientific, science fiction way of doing it.
Or there's a supernatural way of doing it, of a prophet writing novels, which is what Supernatural did.
Yeah.
That just occurred to me. That's
probably where you were thinking of it.
And I thought that was really clever.
But I thought what worked for this one was the fact that it wasn't just that there was this tear and I fell into this other universe, that it was specifically the one Cyberman from Pete's World.
Yeah.
Well, but from Doomsday. Mm-hmm. That when the rift opened and he got sucked through, he went, through and out the other end, but didn't wind up on Pete's World. He wound up on our world. That for me was just enough of a science fiction-y hook that I went, okay, because I was a little uncertain initially. I liked the idea, but I wasn't sure how they did it until he talked about that Cyberman, and then it was like, fixed. I'm ready. Let's do this. I love the story. I
like the message it portrays with the bullying and the telling somebody and the run.
Of the story.
I like that.
And I love the fact that issue is resolved in true Doctor Who fashion, that she doesn't go and stand up to the bully and fight him, that she doesn't go and get a gun, that she doesn't go and do this. She outthinks him.
She lures the bully.
I like that part.
Yeah.
I like that part.
And I thought that was really good. And for those of us that may not necessarily bullied, but have been
picked on for our fandom,
joshed about, you're a Doctor Who fan, or I mean, not that I can't even necessarily say that Doctor Who fans were picked on because nobody knew what it was.
Yeah.
Well, according to Dr. Phil, he was.
Yeah.
So I mean, some
more than others. But I'm sure there were probably kids in 4th grade that thought I was a little weird when I brought my cardboard canine to class on Halloween. Yeah. But I very much liked that. I think he did a great job differentiating between the Doctor and Matt Smith. I don't know, but I got the impression that Matt Smith's written as Matt Smith is. And so when he sees the Doctor...
Matt Smith is barely in it.
Yeah, but just those couple of scenes were very cool. I really... I thought the Doctor reacted appropriately to all of the little things that he's thrown into, like... Seriously? I mean, if it had been a David Tennant thrown into this world, he'd have been like, what? I mean, it just, everything worked for me in this. I just thought it was a really, really cool story. I agree with you. It could only exist as a comic. You couldn't do this in Big Finish or any other medium just because it's just oddball enough that it kind of lends itself to this particular style. But I have no complaints about it. I thought it was a very fitting send-off, and as the last IDW comic for Doctor Who to roll off the line. I thought it was kind of cool that they didn't, try and do a big,
Considering a week earlier they did do the big.
Yeah, I mean, we'd already gotten the Prisoners of Time wrap up and everything else, and that this was just kind of a let's enjoy our fandom and not do a big gargantuan Dalek war story or something set during the Time War or. It's just this little story that is what it is. But it's got a really cool premise to it. I thought that was ingenious.
And it's got a lot of really funny fan recognition.
Oh, I appreciated the convention.
The convention bit was
I appreciated the jokes.
Well, I had quirks in it, so you were all kinds of,
that made it awesome.
There were quirks?
Weren't there quirks?
Dominators.
Oh, no, there were Crotons.
Crotons,
that's what I meant, Crotons. Dominators. Yeah. Crotons.
Well, and just the... where was it?
The bit where he...
there are... Oh, wait. How can parts of my life have titles?
Isn't that a North American DVD cover, by the way?
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
The IDW is a North American company.
It is, but this is all set in the UK. Every piece of this is set in the UK. Yeah.
Does she find a policeman or a constable at the end? I don't remember.
Well, it was a school teacher.
Policeman.
Oh, well,
it doesn't have to be a constable.
No, the constable's over there.
If I'd have known some of these things were called things like the Android Invasion, it would have saved a lot of bother.
Yeah, that was a neat line. There were some funny moments in it, don't get me wrong.
That, and then at the con, when he comes in second and the Matt Smith look
all you did was point at yourself. That's all I thought I had to do.
Which that's based on a true
event.
Because
you can see the Doctor going...
It's based on a true event where John Leeson, nobody knew that John Leeson was at this convention, and he entered the John Leeson Canine Sound-alike contest and came in second, and nobody knew that it was John Leeson. So this is an awesome book. There's so much good here.
Now, the jokes I appreciated. I appreciated those very much, but...
I didn't get the idea that this was set in Britain. I really didn't. It felt...
I don't remember what makes me think that, but there was somewhere that...
Maybe it's your brain, Well, okay, that's a very British mailbox, I guess. I'll give you that one. Okay.
Yeah, that was one of those.
I guess my head teleported them to the U.S. with the fandom, but... I don't know. I really liked it. I thought it was good.
I guess the fact that they were filming should have been an indicator that it was in Britain.
They filmed here. And people went nuts.
Well,
found them in Utah. I mean, come on. We're a little obsessive.
I really enjoyed it.
You just liked it because Cyberman.
It's Cyberman, and that's and a goodbye to
you
the 11th
got to see
Doctor.
Matt again.
I can understand why you didn't like it, Glenn. It's just not for you.
Well, that's why I'm reserving any more comment on it, because I recognize that the story's not my style.
6 months from now, you'll go back and reread it. And when we're in the middle of the dry spell, and there's no new Who, and you'll be like, man, I really miss Matt. I need something to get me over the hump, and we'll pull this back out.
Maybe I'll realize that it was just all tainted by the fact that I just said I'd already closed that book.
Said goodbye.
And, I already closed that chapter.
It's very possible.
Because it's one thing, I read new stuff with Tenet in it that I didn't see even after Tenet, but it's quite removed from having already said goodbye. And this was just literally like days after.
Yeah. I can see where that might be it. I love the art in it, too. I think they did a really good job with
the art was nice. I can find good things to say, but don't get me wrong. I liked a lot of the jokes, especially the convention jokes. Those were a lot of fun. But.
I think...
And the bedroom was a bit sad.
I'm done. I can't defend this anymore.
All right, what do we got coming up on the schedule, Sean?
Coming up on the schedule, I am so excited that we're going to run all the way through January with Tom Baker. We're going to do a lot of running. We're going to start the E-Space trilogy this week for Friday Night Who. So we're going to watch. Which one did we determine was first? Was Full Circle or Warrior's Gate?
Oh, Warrior's Gate's the last one.
It's not Warrior's Gate then.
Full Circle.
It's Full Circle. First Circle, then State of Decay, because they pick up Adric in Full Circle. They go to. They meet the vampires in State of Decay, and you do that. He's known all of this.
And then he does internet searches.
And I know basic information.
And then the lion people in Warrior's Gate.
There were lion people?
Lion people. Well, they always looked like lions to me.
I don't remember lion people. So.
Yeah. As they try to traverse back.
Well, that part I remember.
E-Space. Yeah.
And I remember the mirror. I don't remember lion
and
people.
The ship. And
I don't remember the ship. I remember the mirror. It's pretty much all I remember. I remember the mirror and I remember the end because the end sucked. But
I think you're going to be impressed at how little I know of E-Space. I know the basics.
Well, here's hoping. Anyway, so which one is it?
Full Circle?
Full Circle.
Full Circle. So we're going to start with Full Circle.
We're coming full circle.
We're not. I think that maybe that's my problem with the special, because I cannot keep these stories straight in my head.
Well, the title of Full Circle makes sense once we see the story. There's a reason why Full Circle is the name of the story.
I must not remember it all. I remember there were swamp people in Adric. That's pretty much...
Swamp people and the other people, and everything's come full circle.
Does Kroll show up?
Kroll does not show up, no.
Or Scorby?
No Scorby.
Scorby.
No, we're genuinely.
We last saw him in a swamp, so.
In E-Space where academics are important. I don't know.
So, what are you saying about Scorby?
Come visit E-Space, where you can win a gold medallion for being smart in math. I'm totally never going to E-Space. Ever. It sounds kind of like a downer to me. But, I don't have a medal. I wonder if I could do that. I wonder if I showed up in algebra with a gold star pinned to my chest and told her that it was an award for mathematical excellence. If I could just skate by and not... If I could, can I test out?
Well, there's nothing that we could possibly teach you here, Sean.
Yeah,
so
I have the badge.
A+, goodbye.
I have the badge. So
automatic
Take
badge.
the year off. Or the semester off.
If I could make that work, Adric would elevate so high on my companion list.
Hey, if that worked for you... That will Adric would elevate so high on my list.
Best
I'd be so
ever. So yeah, we're starting with Full Circle and Friday Night Who. Our show next week, we will discuss Full Circle, and we will be discussing our reviews on the second Tom Baker Fourth Doctor audio adventure, Renaissance Man. So if you haven't started listening, you might want to do that. Of course, it's a little bit shorter. It's about an hour, I think, on those. And then the following week, we'll be doing State of Decay, and we'll be doing the third Fourth Doctor audio adventure, which is The Wrath of the Iceni, or however,
I think that's right.
Iceni, however it's pronounced. Sure. And then the final week, we will be doing Warrior's Gate, and then discussing kind of it and the E-Space trilogy as a whole. So you've got some Big Finish to listen to and some Tom Baker to listen. A lot of Tom Baker to finish out the month, but that's okay, because we haven't had any in a while.
Yeah.
Well, Zygons was the last one for Halloween, so it's been a quarter.
Oh, although we did on our own watch
Brandon Morbius. Yeah.
Well, I did too. Later.
On your own? Later.
On my own later. For Christmas.
Sounds right to me.
I mean, I go into watching these again with a little bit of reluctance because I don't think they've ever been any of my... I don't hate them, but they're just not really one of my favorite sets of stories. So,
Well, again, I haven't seen these since they aired.
Oh, wow.
So it's been a long, long while for me to watch them.
Right?
I do own them.
Okay, because I have a set as well. So.
But if I remember the first story in my mind is pretty forgettable. The second story I loved because of the setup and the explanations for what go on in it. And the third story is pretty forgettable except for the end because it's so tragic. So I'll be curious to see how that changes.
Tragic.
Well, yeah, it is.
Well, I know
It's a
that
bit sad. It's not tragic.
Romana comes back. Romana and K9 come back, so...
Yeah, seeing it is going to be completely tragic for Keith, and he might cry on the show again.
You would do this to me so shortly
So
after
shortly
leaving?
after. I give you a whole month to mourn.
Don't let him tease you. It's not that bad.
You don't like K9 like I do.
The Rust. Oh my God, the Rust.
The insane.
Does it make
The very last
the
scene.
school reunion make more sense?
The very last scene will fix it all for you, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
It'll be all right.
I know he comes back in Big Finish. Thank you, Big Finish.
Well, he comes back in the series 2 as well.
But that's a different Mark, though, isn't it?
Well, the mark that he's got when...
Because it's Mark 3 for
We'll
Sarah
talk
Jane,
about it.
isn't it? Right? I got that right.
Yeah, it's Mark 3 for Sarah
Okay.
Jane.
Mark 4
It's
now.
okay, don't worry about it. Sean's really trying to make you worry for nothing. All right, well, if that's going to do it for this week, until next week, I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean.
I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Be seeing you.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.